This is a radio guy playing vice president.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, August 27th, 2020. This is your award-winning Give Our Nation Media Assassination episode 1272.
This is No Agenda.
Going dark and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm worried sick that Hurricane Laura is going to knock you out. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Yeah, that's was kind of a valid concern yesterday, but I woke up this morning and I've been kind of checking the news, and has this thing been downgraded to a category 2?
I didn't know what it was categorized as.
Oh, yes. Yesterday it was
California. We don't care.
No, you got your own problems. No, it was a category 4. You know, Tina lived in Florida so long, and she knows what that really means on the ground. And let me see if CNN says anything. It says category 4. That's really bad. Okay. Here he goes. It's now category 1 storm. All right. There you go. Whew. I'm glad we had everybody out there.
Rain for you. You going to get rain?
No, we're not even. Rain's not even. It's off of. It's like Port Arthur. It's off more further northeast of Houston. It's quite a ways away from us. And so good. So it'll drop rain, some rain. No, we have zero rain. We could use it. Yeah, no rain so far. None at all. But that's okay, because then we can go back to your regularly scheduled programming, which is outrage. And before we get to the obvious topic that you and I are looking forward to talk about, we do have an update on COVID-19. Some
I have COVID
outrage.
Clips.
Yeah, well, good. Then let me start.
You want to start at the top and start with Amy worried sick that this is get worse than ever? Amy and CNN both?
Oh, no, we have to do that no matter what. Hold on a second. Where is it? Which clip is it?
Let's see. It would probably be COVID. Amy's COVID flu south 1, 2. The COVID gloom. That would be it.
There we go. Gloom.
The United States reported 1,147 coronavirus deaths on Tuesday, with over 37,000 new confirmed cases. Many of the latest outbreaks have come in schools and on college campuses as students return for fall classes. In Tuscaloosa, the University of Alabama reported more than 560 coronavirus cases. University of Missouri confirmed nearly 160 cases on its first day of classes. This week, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention quietly altered its COVID-19 testing recommendations, saying people without symptoms should not be tested for coronavirus, even if they've been in close contact with an infected person. The CDC's new advice drew alarm from public health officials who say the recommendation could accelerate the spread of the disease.
I love this story. This is such a great story.
Just as a backgrounder.
Yeah.
During the reporting, there was shot after shot after shot after shot of somebody taking a long probe and shoving down somebody's nose a mile. And I had to turn away.
Oh, this is the old school, the one where they shove it up into your brain. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's really smart. Show that. They're doing some dumb things. But this story is fantastic. And you heard the slant from Amy. Quietly, they changed it, implying they snuck into the website in the dark of night. Shh, people check the CDC website every 5 minutes for new information. But no. This change shall not stand. CNN was outraged. They have their doctor, I think it's Elizabeth Cohen.
You know, it doesn't make any sense. I'm not just going to say what. I'm going to say what the, and I'm going to let you fill in the blank. This is ridiculous. The CDC used to say if you've had close contact with someone with coronavirus, meaning within 6 feet of them for 15 minutes or more, you should get tested. Now they're saying you should consider getting tested.
Notice the voice inflection.
But you might not need to unless you're a vulnerable person, which usually means older or have an underlying health condition, or your doctor or local public health official tells you to. What? People who are exposed to someone with coronavirus should get tested. Experts will tell you that that is the case. Why wouldn't you want to get tested? And this kind of back and forth with very subtle language where you have to click on 3 different places to figure out what they mean is crazy making. It is not public health communication. It is clearly pressure from some force in some way. If you want to communicate clearly to the American public, the CDC knows how to do that. They do that for a living. They are not doing it here, and there must be a reason for it.
Oh, yes. I've even heard that sources inside CDC say there was pressure from the White House, which is probably true. But this is not abnormal, and it doesn't say stop being tested. They quietly changed it. They didn't go out and say stop being tested. No, you jamokes did that, you morons. That's what's hilarious.
I'll go back to the other assertion, which is that they talk about this as though and they keep showing this test. I wouldn't want to get tested watching these videos.
They're doing everything wrong if they're trying to be on message and get people tested. And of course, the hypocrisy of a CDC change, which on March 6th, we had very different information about wearing masks, and the CDC was saying this.
Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask.
You know the clip. I don't have to play the whole thing. But when the CDC changed, everyone went, come on, it's the CDC. Things change. We've learned more about the virus. And now it's Trump, of course, which, by the way, I don't dispute. But I also understand why. This thing is over. You're terrorizing people for no good reason. But Dr. Cohen will double down.
This is a change that was made on the website that is so subtle and wasn't alerted.
Okay. It's not subtle. It's very clear. They even have a change. What has changed in each update? Kind of like, what are the new features of your virus or your software? And so it's not subtle. It's there, but they didn't go out announcing it. You did all the work, dummy.
This is a change that was made on the website that is so subtle and wasn't alerted, so we sort of had to discover it on our own. It's the kind of thing, again...
The journalist discovered it by refreshing a page. Oh, my goodness.
It's the kind of thing, again, crazy making. The language is subtly changed. Americans aren't going to get this. You have to have sort of a team of scholars pour over it as if it were a biblical passage.
Really now? It was in plain English to me. It didn't seem like a biblical passage that I needed some scholars to decode, which, by the way, I also have access to.
To figure out what they're...
She has dropped a little subconscious that Americans aren't going to get this.
Oh, yeah, because we're dummies. Exactly.
No, we're not going to get the virus.
Oh, ooh. Truth comes out. Let's hear it again.
Americans aren't going to get this. You have to have sort of a team of scholars pour over it as if it were a biblical passage to figure out what they're trying to say.
Oh, what a liar.
This wasn't heralded.
Yeah, I mean, I could read it if you want me to, but I think you'll take my word for it.
In any way.
I will say 1,200 people dead in the last 24 hours reported
yes.
in a policy that...
Thank you for that up-to-date count. That's right. Do it again.
1,100 something.
1,200 people dead in the last 24 hours reported in a policy that may lead to fewer tests and fewer known cases. Ask yourself why.
And we might as well get one response from a governor to this news. Gavin Newsom, I don't know if you've been watching. I got a couple good clips out of it. He's doing a daily show. He's got callers. He's taking calls. Hey, caller.
He's got nothing else to do.
Well, but it's interesting.
Hi, Governor. The CDC is now saying there is no need to test even if you've been in contact with someone infected with COVID-19. And we've heard Governor Cuomo criticize this change as part of President Trump's policy of denying the problem and wanting fewer people to take the test. So my questions are, do you agree with that? And what's your response to this recent change in guidance?
I don't agree with the new CDC guidance, period, full stop, and it's not the policy in the state of California. We will not be influenced by that change. We're influenced by those that are experts in the field that feel very differently.
CDC's the experts.
With respect to the CDC, no, that is not the policy guideline that we will embrace or adopt here in the state of California.
Yeah, so CDC is no longer the experts, but it was the same.
Well, they're the experts when they agree with them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is nonsense. I mean, first of all, they say, well, the CDC's independent and Trump, has been trying to do this and that. And then they ask for masks and Trump hates the masks. So why didn't they not do that? But they did. I mean, this is bull crap. These guys are just cherry picking whatever they want. If the CDC, the way I see it, if the CDC says that, I'm good with it.
The inconsistency that the way the media interprets official messaging, and my goodness, there's a great timeline of hydroxychloroquine that showed up on things called Tablet. I put it in the show notes. It's 1,000 miles long, but it takes you all the way. It doesn't tell you whether it's good or not. It shows you everything that happened, when it got politicized, how that worked. It's really interesting. But the point is, people get confused by the media, who are actually, I think it's their job to scare and confuse people. But they're making it so easy that people will just give up. I mean, so we had Austin, we had protests. The protests were broken up with horses. We had someone was killed, died during one of these protests.
Protesting what?
Black Lives Matter. I'm getting to a point here. So here's Austin's top doctor yesterday, and now all of a sudden he's really upset.
I'll have to say that yesterday I spoke about college students being a part of this community and taking that individual responsibility and ensuring that they are not the focus of infectious outbreaks. And I was disappointed to see the photos yesterday of groups of young people together on the streets of Austin. We need to do better. We all have to be engaged in this mission together. We have to show that as college students in Austin, Texas, that we can be responsible as well. That we can forego the usual and customary things that we do as college students temporarily while we fight this very dangerous pandemic. And I think it's important for student leaders to stand up as well and to say that same message to their peers, that we have to be responsible right now, and we have to ensure that we are not going to be the cause of a substantial outbreak.
Okay, so you want to confuse these kids? Hey, now you can't be outside. Protesting, nothing was said. It's all fine. And now, oh no, you got to go inside. The kids have become apathetic here. They don't care about politics.
I'm liking the new pronunciation. Apathetic.
Apathetic. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Apathetic. Apathetic.
Yeah. But I like apathetic.
that's the Dutch slipping in there. Yeah, they don't care. They don't care about anything. They're disillusioned. They're done with it all. They find it stupid.
Well, they put up with so much of this.
Well, of course. They all would like some money. Hey, where's my check? F capitalism. Where's my check? Hear a lot of that.
F capitalism. I need some capital.
But, like Sunday, the Video Music Awards are going to be in New York. Well, of course, the governor has exempted celebrities from quarantine when they come into New York to attend the Video Music Awards. So that's, this is...
Really?
Yeah. That's the kind of messaging. Wow. And then if Maine says... hunters, we'd really like you to practice social distancing while you're out during this bear hunting season. I mean, come on. Even I can laugh at that. Social distance while you're bear hunting, please. So we do have a couple new things that we've learned. It was a great...
Well, before we go there, okay. I want to get the Harry Scary reports out of the way.
Oh yes, okay. Oh goodness, Harry Scary.
And go back. I want to go back to Amy because it's just not us that's we're all going to die.
No.
Well, we got a world report here.
Ooh.
In international news, Argentina reported a daily record of over 8,700 new coronavirus cases and 381 deaths Monday. In Europe, France confirmed a spike of nearly 4,900 new coronavirus cases Monday, the country's highest single-day figure since the beginning of the pandemic. Several other European countries, including Spain, Italy, and Germany, have also had a rise in new COVID cases after reopening.
Cases.
And
Nothing
it's all
but cases.
And then you notice the key word, which is thematic. After reopening. They should not have been reopened. They violated the. Oh, here goes the slow Zephyr, by the way.
Slow Zephyr, ladies and gentlemen. Slow Zephyr. Let's go. Here we do. How are we doing on the slow Zephyr? 8 cars.
Anyway.
Wait a minute. Hold on. We're on a slow 8 cars. Economy stable. I think the market's going to move sideways.
Just like the train was doing. So the theme is always the same. Reopen. They prematurely reopen. Of course, nobody in none of the reports in the last weeks or months have mentioned or talked about or even mentioned Sweden, which never closed to begin with.
Or a ventilator, for that matter.
Or ventilators haven't been mentioned either.
Where are all the people dying on the ventilators? Nah.
I got more.
Yeah, good.
These.
Good. We like them.
Now this is good. We go to NPR for this one.
Ooh, you're going hardcore.
And this is a whole report. This is a 2-part clip. A whole report on what's going down in South America, which is kind of dubious because I want you to listen to these 2 clips because I don't understand what the messaging is here.
Okay.
Because it's vague. It's about how the flu season disappeared.
It just wasn't there, and only the COVID season.
It's strange. This is the strangest report, and they never really make any conclusions or tell us anything valuable. It's just a strange report. This is COVID Flu South 1.
Flu is a seasonal illness. Flu infections peak in the winter. Well, winter is coming.
I'm already going to have a problem with this report. Flu, winter, flu.
It's disgusting, by the way. I have another NPR clip coming up where the woman has... There's nothing. The vocal fry is bad enough, but vocal fry whispered into the mic is really bad.
Oh, that's ASMR.
Flu is a seasonal illness. Flu infections peak in the winter. Well, winter is coming to an end in the southern hemisphere, and people there have just gone through a strange flu season, one deeply affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. NPR's Nell Greenfield-Boyce reports that...
Hey, man. Who wants to listen to that? I'm sorry. It sounds so condescending, like she's talking to kids.
That's NPR. That is their model.
We talk to kids.
Their experience may be a sign of what's to come in northern countries like the U.S.
When the virus that causes COVID-19 started spreading widely in February and March, public health officials in the Southern Hemisphere realized they were about to face a double whammy. Woo! Their flu season starts in May or June. There's always deaths and hospitalizations from flu. And now here was another severe respiratory virus.
The countries took it very, very seriously.
Silva Aldeguerri is the incident manager for COVID-19 with the Pan American Health Organization. He says Southern countries did all they could to prepare for flu.
They bought more vaccine. They vaccinated more people during the pre-flu season.
Then they waited for influenza cases to start rising. They waited and waited and waited.
Now we are well advanced during the flu season in the south, and we have not seen any spike, any upsurge of flu.
Flu hasn't totally disappeared, but it's way, way down. For example, take one 3-week period in the middle of winter in Chile. He says over 3,000 patients with flu-like symptoms were tested.
And 0 tests were positive for influenza.
Oh, okay. The test may be no good. This is weird.
It's funny you said that because I was thinking the same thing.
Why did he say that?
I want to mention something else. In my entire life, and I'm older than you, I don't remember hearing about influenza tests.
No, me neither.
It's just all of a sudden it shows up in the news as, oh, this is a normal thing. Oh, there was tested for flu and it wasn't the flu. Or it was tested for COVID. But when I was a kid, all my entire life, I've never been tested for the flu. You get the flu.
Yeah.
You know what it is when you get it. It's very distinctive. But I've never been tested for it, and I never heard of anyone being tested for it. But all of a sudden now, we're hearing about testing for the flu.
Well,
I just find this to be peculiar.
COVID has brought us many miracles, John. One of them is a test for the flu and no flu in South America. It's a beautiful thing. Should we listen to part 2?
Yes, please.
Hundreds of those tests would normally be positive for flu. The same pattern is being seen in Southern Africa, Australia. Kanta Subarao directs the World Health Organization's Collaborating Center for Reference and Research on Influenza in Melbourne.
We are totally surprised. I mean, we had influenza activity in January and February, and we have a few isolates from March, and then it just totally dropped off.
So, why did this happen? No one is really sure, but everything being done to stop COVID-19 is surely hitting flu as well.
So the restriction on travel is a big element. Mask wearing, hand washing, and all the social distancing.
Still, she says the northern parts of the world should not be complacent and think they're off the hook for flu.
Because influenza surprises us. Viruses surprise us. We're sort of seeing very little influenza activity in the Southern Hemisphere. But that doesn't allow me to predict that will be the case for the Northern Hemisphere.
She and other flu experts say, get vaccinated.
This is one of those years that it's more important than ever to get your flu vaccine.
Stacey Schultz-Cherry is a flu researcher at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. She says scientists always look at what flu strains are circulating to make predictions about what should go into next year's flu vaccine. And even though flu cases are oddly low, they'll still be able to do that.
I get it.
Yeah, it became a promotion. But
I get it. So it's a promotion. Oh, boy.
Now, let me bring up a couple of journalistic issues.
Oh, please do.
First of all, they had 3,000 what looked like the flu, and they tested and they got no flu in the Chile or wherever it was. Did anyone ask if the tests were flawed, or maybe they had a bad batch of tests, test swabs, or whatever the testing mechanism is?
Did people have
was
symptoms?
there one question asked about the possibility? No. Secondly, the second question that comes to mind immediately, what did all these flu sufferers who didn't have the flu, what was it that they had? 3,000 of them? I'd like to know what it was. Was it a bad cold? They never said. They never asked. This is really classic bad reporting that we see just, it just oozes out of NPR.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They leave things out of they don't even put it in the question bank.
Well, the push for the flu shot, the vaccine for the twindemic is still very much in play.
Twindemic.
Yes, we have Governor Whitmer of Michigan, who I'm sure is pissed off that she's not Kamala, because I'm sure she was vying for it, but now she's going all out by getting the flu shot.
Literally the easiest thing I will do today.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer announcing a new push by the state to bump up flu shot use ahead of this year's flu season to help with hospital capacity amidst a potential second wave in the COVID-19 fight.
When we all get our flu vaccine, we can help keep thousands of flu patients out of the hospitals and prevent overcrowding.
The governor stating CDC estimates of roughly 740,000 Americans hospitalized from the flu last season, with Michigan in 2018 ranking 38 out of the 50 states for people getting the flu vaccine.
Influenza has the power to infect millions.
The state launching the Facing the Flu Together campaign with a target of 1 million more Michiganders vaccinated than last year, a 33% increase.
The flu vaccine does not cause the flu. There are some people whose bodies may respond to the flu vaccine with mild body aches or a runny nose. That is not the flu.
Ignore the pain.
That's your body mounting an immune response so it can fight off the flu. The flu vaccine prevents anywhere from 40 to 60% of cases of the flu every year.
All right. A nice little 33 in there. Always happy to hear it. Thank you very much, Governor Whitmer. Now, the entire screenplay is being unfolded down under in Australia. Everything we saw happening here, as if no one has learned, no one was watching, is happening there. And, of course, hydroxychloroquine is now the huge problem because we can't have people taking it. We need some laws. Oh, wait, there are laws. Here is New South Wales politician Craig Kelly speaking out about what he finds is a scandal.
On the drug hydroxychloroquine. And it's not about whether my opinion thinks the drug is effective or not, Deputy Speaker. It's about whether the big hand of government has the right to interfere in the doctor-patient relationship and to say to the doctor that you cannot prescribe this drug to your patient if you think not only it would help them, but it may save their life. That's what we're currently doing in Australia. At the state level, we have state governments that are putting rulings in that are actually making a doctor liable to go to prison if he prescribes hydroxychloroquine to one of his patients.
New World Order down under doesn't mess around, by the way. They're serious.
If he thinks it may save their life. Now, what's this based on, Deputy Speaker? Well, it's based on the findings of our National COVID-19 Clinical Evidence Task Force. And their recommendations are, and I quote, based on the available evidence, hydroxychloroquine is potentially harmful and no more effective than standard care in treating patients with COVID-19. We therefore recommend that hydroxychloroquine should not be used. So, Deputy Speaker, how did they come to that recommendation? Well, that goes on. Evidence informing this recommendation comes from 9 randomised trials that compared hydroxychloroquine plus standard care to standard care alone. But, Deputy Speaker, when you go and you look at those 9 trials that they looked at, not one of them looks at the way hydroxychloroquine, or the doctors that advocate for this drug, say it should be used. The doctors say it should be used with zinc and also an antibiotic such as azithromycin, Deputy Speaker. Give you a word to say for non-medical people. That is how they advocate it for, and also that it must be prescribed and taken in the first 5 days after someone becomes infected.
You know, it's actually quite possible if you look at hydroxychloroquine, if you look at, there's the convalescent plasma, which is not something new. You look at the Mike Lindell ointment, flower sap. You look at leronlimab, which is something that's been approved. You look at this. I mean, there's all these different. We're probably going to do a lot of damage to influenza. I think, chicken soup. I mean, there's all kinds of things that have yet to be studied properly. However, Dr. Harvey Rich is making the rounds. Don't expect to see him on CNN or MSNBC anytime soon. He is the editor of the International Journal of Cancer Research. He's a serious guy. He has the credentials, and he's angry at the media.
Somehow we've let politics overrule science. And it's an absurd situation. People have compared this to 1984 and the Ministry of Truth and so on. That's limiting what people can say on objective facts. It's beyond belief. Here's the thing. I think they know that the treatment works. I think that basically they're afraid to even let it be tried, because letting it be tried would show that it works. So the message has to be shut at all costs, because anything will leak out. And in fact, it is leaking out. And you see across the country people who've started to speak up, who've become almost deathly ill and have been turned around in 3 days or sooner even. And these are now public figures who are speaking up, who've said that the medicine saved their life. And it's very difficult to, close all the leaks in that dike that are being suppressed by the media that are trying to do that.
Maybe one day the history book will be written, and we'll learn more about it.
Prediction from the get-go. But let me read you. While you're talking about Australia, I want to read this article. Perth woman who hid in truck. She didn't hide in the truck. She took a truck ride to enter Western Australia from Victoria. Cops' harshest penalty yet. A Perth woman. How much she was in Melbourne to visit her sick sister. She was given a pass to go back to Western Australia if she went into hibernation for 14 days at an expense of $2,500 in a hotel. She decided to hitch a ride on a truck instead and just go in and hang out with her boyfriend. They never caught her at the border or anything, but they found where she was living with her partner, and then she got arrested and they threw her in jail.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
For how long?
Well, I was going to say that I think the punishment currently in Australia, if you violate that rule, is they shave your head and they make you run naked through the streets. I'm sorry. Wrong fascist. 6 months.
Yes, it was 6 months. She got 6 months in jail for going back home.
Is that GAOL jail?
Maybe. But she ended up 6 months. They're going to obviously appeal, but they're not. But they're not going to get anywhere because the magistrate says this is going to just send the message that we need to send to keep people from pulling this stunt of this horrible virus that's going to kill us all if we don't jail this woman in a virus-laden prison for 6 whole months. This is like, what is wrong with these people?
Well, taking into account this New York Times article, which details how after the Wuhan lockdown, thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of bots controlled by Chinese entities swarmed all over Twitter with lockdown messages targeted specifically at Italians in Italy. There's a lot going on with China in this. For the New York Times to even write that is surprising to me, although I don't think they have their China Daily anymore. I think they nixed that. It was getting a little too hot under their feet. So they had this massive social media campaign, and I'm sure they did the same with New York. I mean, it's so bad. Cuomo, he talks about the Europe virus. He doesn't even say the China virus. I think I have a clip of that.
Yes, he does. You're right. He makes a point of it.
I thought I had.
As far as he's concerned, it's from Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh no, this virus is from Europe. Here it is. I think this is him.
February 2nd, the president ordered a travel ban from China. March 1st, we have the first confirmed case in the state of New York. By March 19th, New York State is totally closed down. No state moved faster from first case to close down than the state of New York.
Oh,
March
this is
16th,
really old.
we have a full travel ban from Europe.
No, I'm sorry. I was looking for something else where he literally says, like Trump says the China virus, he says the Europe virus. Like, please. But we know that New York is already owned by China, and just as predicted, here's the article. I want to read this out of context. Here it is. Headline: Cooperate with us. China's Xi bypasses Trump in appeal to state and local officials. I told you. State and local officials in the United States can strengthen economic ties that offset the worsening rivalry between Washington and Beijing, according to Chinese autocrat Xi Jinping. We must actively cooperate with all countries, regions, and enterprises who are willing to cooperate with us, including states, localities, and enterprises in the United States. He said this following his annual policy retreat. So he's offering money. I mean, this is the China model.
Well, it's working in Australia. They got that the whole state.
They got them on lockdown. They got the hydroxy out of there, and the fear is baked in. And you've just got to appreciate the NBA. Okay, sure. I'm sure that China is behind this NBA bull crap. It's Black Lives Matter bull crap. I don't know. I don't know what. And did you see the WNBA? My goodness. Well, let me just tell you. So, national anthem, they're all kneeling and they're all wearing T-shirts with 7 bullet holes on their backs. I mean,
that's the 7 bullet holes, yeah.
Yeah, but on their backs, man. It's like, oh, okay. Well, maybe we should find. Yeah,
this is seditious stuff.
Seditious is exactly what it is. Now, there's one more thing. This actually was Agent Orange who heard it from the U.S. Embassy, and lo and behold, it's I don't think it's a news article yet. Let me see. I have a link here. This is just the Justice Department. So this came out yesterday. Department of Justice requesting data from governors of states that issued COVID-19 orders that may have resulted in deaths of elderly nursing home residents. Hello, Cuomo.
That's what I'm thinking.
Hello, Cuomo. Data will help inform whether Department of Justice will initiate investigations under the Civil Rights of Institutionalized Persons Act.
10,000 murdered by Cuomo.
Regarding New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Michigan's response to COVID-19 in public nursing homes. This is a big one, and you're not going to hear about it. Shh. quiet about that. I don't want anybody to know.
Not in our media, we won't.
Well, no, maybe no media at all. Who cares? I think, yes, I did have just one more. There is some hope, and it looks like the Irish are fed up. They want to be let out. Time for change. There's a big protest. This is one of the protest organizers. I'm not exactly sure who's behind this. Dolores Cahill, Cahill. It was a big demonstration, peaceful, no one wearing masks, everyone just chilling out. And I just clipped about a minute of it so we can listen.
Make sure that I'm here to give you information, and I want to be held to account. If my information is wrong, I will correct it, and I'm asking you to do the research and find out for yourselves. So I want to tell you very briefly 3 things. Who I am, and that there is really good news about COVID-19. Number 2, if this good news is true, what changes should we be making in Ireland and in the whole world? And number 3, that Ireland is actually leading a movement in the whole world to set these changes on fire. The opposite of fear is love. They want you to be afraid. You have to love yourselves, love each other, and love Ireland. We are the change. Truth and freedom. Truth and freedom.
Okay, you can kill this clip.
You got it. Okay.
Well, you can't hear it. I couldn't hear it.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it's weird.
I just heard some peace and freedom. I heard that, but that was
okay. All right. Anyway, so there's some kind of movement going, and then the only thing I have left over is welcome to your future, slave.
We're seeing fights like this go viral.
I don't have the mask.
Where businesses find themselves at times in verbal or physical confrontations with customers.
My doctor would not let me wear masks.
Trying to enforce mask requirements, often under state or county orders.
The horrifying videos, they're horrifying. They're not fun.
Steve Reinhardt is CEO of Robotic Assistance Devices, and he's trying to take the ugliness out of these encounters by deploying a robot.
We developed a face mask analytic, so we can either say, look for people with face masks on, look for people without face masks on.
They call the robot Rosa, which means Responsive Observation Security Agent. When Rosa recognizes a person about to enter a business without a mask, you hear and see the warning immediately.
It is a non-biased, non-confrontational approach to reminding people to, wear their face mask.
The robot's creator acknowledges someone could choose to ignore the messages.
Required to wear face masks.
But he says businesses are bracing for the possibility they'll have to enforce COVID-19 safety measures for years to come. And they hope to avoid scenes like this.
You have a machine tell you to do something? It blows my mind that the level of compliance is just skyrocketing.
I love that. That's the guy that owned the CEO of the company. Says when a machine tells people to do it, the level of compliance has just blown him away. How about that?
Wow. That's like the overhead drone.
Yes, the same thing. Exactly.
Social distance, citizen. Social distance.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and so it begins.
Well, I do one intermediate observation here based on something I've been watching this for a while. Since you mentioned China, this is China related. So the Independent out of the UK is pretty much on the heels of the Guardian as a Trump-hating nexus.
Sure.
And I think it's because they're going to try to roll out a U.S. version, something the way the Guardian has. Guardian is actually a hybrid. It's half of it
right in the U.S. Yeah.
And the rest of it used to be originally when I was a kid. It was a very highly regarded paper called the Manchester Guardian, and it was printed and appeared in the United States as a kind of an onion skin paper. It's very strange, and it was considered one of the great newspapers of the world at the time. And then it became very socialist oriented with a whole bunch of socialist columns, and they took over the place. And now it's just a Trump hating vehicle. The Independent's much the same. But I'm reading the latest crazy story in The Independent, and I'll read the headline. Trump had public meltdown over missed phone call from Putin, former number 10 aide says.
Oh, my.
And the story is about apparently a dinner or something that was going on with Theresa May in Washington. This was a while ago, obviously. And it was Trump. Apparently somebody passed away. I'll just read this. Mr. Timothy, working for May, says, about a fairly extraordinary lunch during which Mr. Trump shouted at his then national security advisor, Michael Flynn. Quote, somebody just mentioned in passing that Vladimir Putin had asked for a call with him. Right in front of us, he absolutely shouted down Mike Flynn. Like really shouted. This was at a former dinner. It was a lunch a minute ago, but now it's a dinner. With butlers and fancy crockery, and he was properly shouting him down at the table. Which, I've never heard about this. This is a while ago, but you think you would. You keep reading about what a dick he is, and Flynn was just apparently a wimp for putting up with it.
Yes,
and
man.
Then all of a sudden, the article says Miss May's senior aide said he was surprised his former boss allowed Huawei a role in developing Britain's 5G infrastructure, criticizing her 2019 decision to approve the Chinese firm as very, very unwise. He described Miss May as been a Sino-skeptic during her time in charge. He said that, and he goes on and he changes his tone, saying, and unwise, meaning it was unwise to reject Huawei.
Right.
He said, former George Osborne. I don't know what this has to do with Trump shouting down Michael Flynn.
It's otherwise people won't read it. You got to have Trump in there if you want people to read the article.
George Osborne had been mistaken in developing a strategy to make China's best friend. He says the problem is you can't go all in with China without undermining your security relationship. And then he goes on, and it's just it just drifts off.
Huh.
And I couldn't figure out what the point of it was at all. But I would keep an eye on this paper, by the way, just because they're up to something. And this was a little like throw down with China. Look, we need some money.
Yeah.
This is the way I see it.
Okay, I'm with you.
Look, China, we're going to start talking about you a little bit, but, it could go either way.
Let us know how you feel about that.
That's the way I'm seeing it. You're going to start seeing, if you start seeing anything pro-China in the Independent.
You got to think about it. Yeah. I did have late breaking news and a deconstruction from the former New York banker.
Oh, I need this.
You do. So this is from the Wall Street Journal headline, Fed unanimously approved shift on inflation goal, ushering in long era of low rates. Subhead, the Federal Reserve unanimously approved on Thursday a new strategy that will effectively set aside a practice it has followed for more than 3 decades to preemptively lift interest rates to head off higher inflation. So the New York banker, and in the article, the word symmetrically is used. And so he deconstructed this whole thing in 2 sentences for us. Targeting inflation, this is the banker, targeting inflation symmetrically means low rates for a long time. Average interest rate for debt is now around 2%, down from 8% in the 90s. We can borrow much more for the same interest expense, and when the average interest rate drops from here, we'll borrow even more. MMT is here to stay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sounds like something like that's going on.
That could be related to the slow 8-car Zephyr. Or
it's 8 cars, but it's slow.
Now, there's what because he sent this to me. I have to mention today, according to the stories I've been hearing for a year, if not longer now, in relation to the cryptocurrency Ripple, which is also known as XRP, that today, August 27th, the quantum financial system will go into use. And this is a fantastic story about a new blockchain-oriented global monetary system, very analogous to Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, and it will replace the SWIFT system, which is currently used, and of course we use that as a weapon. And so we cut people out of it, like Iran. They can't use it because they've been bad boys and girls. And to back this up, They have all kinds of documents referring to things like, actually from the Office of the Currency Comptroller on their website, a PDF, and this has been given to me several times as proof. You can tell from my scorny voice, I'm very skeptical about this. I would have been all in 5-6 years ago, but you have completely ruined me in this regard. And the idea is that this is going to be a global currency which will be used for citizens to receive and send money to their government, as well as peer-to-peer with no transaction fees, interestingly enough. And it will be pegged to the gold standard, which has been Trump's evil plan all along. It was supposed to happen today. This is part of the global reset. So keep your eye on it. The best part is that, and people say this with a straight face, and I'm not scoffing at them because this has come from financial people, from lawyers. They've heard it from their accountants. Several people have sent this to me. As a kicker, this blockchain also has nodes that are located off-world. So I can't wait to see the global reset take place. This sounds like a lot of fun. And, it's not like the elites haven't called for a global reset or a financial reset. It's not like this hasn't been discussed out in the open by, World Economic Forum. I just love that, apparently this was the story behind Ripple for a long time. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's going to be something really
Theremin.
special. Yeah.
Theremin.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm even theramining myself on this one, but I want it to be true. I really do.
Off-world.
Off-world.
That's the giveaway.
I know. It's like everything is believable, but then when the off-world things come in, I'm like, well, now you're on my turf. So now I got a problem with your story. Damn it. Anyway, I'd like to say that what you're hearing about the news and how the media reports things in the United States is exactly the same everywhere else. Go to France 24, go to RT, go to Sky News. It's all the same. It's all the same political bullcrap about treatments and vaccines and shutdowns and lockdowns and fines and shut up slave and and above all, it's about build back better. Even the Dutch now have a build back better going on. And this is related directly to the Green New Deal. If you go to buildbackbetter.co.uk, or maybe .uk.org, I think. Green New Deal, here it is, Green New Deal, that's DEAL, not DILL, .uk.org, I think is what it is. Here's their about page. We believe, so this is Build Back Better, buildbackbetter.uk.org, there we go. We believe working together it's crazy, will give us the best chance of succeeding.
URL.
I know, it's succeeding in this moment. This is a movement made up of organizations and groups from many different places. We are teachers, healthcare workers, students, and organizers who are fighting for change. No financial information, obviously. As a campaign, we are run by a steering group. So Build Back Better is run by a steering group. The campaign was initiated.
So is the No Agenda show.
The campaign was initiated and is currently coordinated by Green New Deal UK.
Stop. You got to stop.
What?
Is there steering groups? This is high school stuff we're talking about here.
Well, let me tell you,
when you're in high school, they talk about steering groups. When does steering groups become something that's important to the conversation? So, we're run by steering groups. This is bullshit. Steering groups? Are you kidding me? Because go back and start reading it again from the beginning, because it's dumb. It's like very, very, it's juvenile. Steering groups?
My experience is a steering group is when everyone tries to grab the wheel and you crash.
Yeah.
We believe working together will give us the best chance of succeeding in this moment. This is a movement made up of organizations and groups from many different places. We are teachers, healthcare workers, students, and organizers who are fighting for change. As a campaign, we are run by a steering group. The campaign was initiated and is currently coordinated by Green New Deal UK, working with a growing range of groups and organizations. The campaign is drawing on existing funding from the European Climate Foundation and the Oak Foundation. That's who's sponsoring Build Back Better, along with, this is a steering group, Green New Deal UK, MedAct, Greenpeace, Greener Jobs Alliance, Public and Commercial Services Union, UK School Climate Network, Joint Council for Welfare and Immigrants Workforce, and the New Economics Foundation, Friends of the Earth, 350.org. So that's what is behind all of this Build Back Better. Here's the Netherlands. I had the same.
It's the same bunch of boneheads.
Yes. It is, but
350.org, that guy.
But they've all got they're connecting everything. Build Back Better is a political statement.
This is like, what is it, Terminator 3, where he had this guy who was made out of liquid metal, and he all of a sudden it would all come back together and he'd reform. It's like all these little organizations, 350 and all the rest of them, and they're all forming one monster.
Yeah. I'm gonna take you right into the political stuff with this little set. So first we start by realizing that coronavirus is connected and is now openly being connected to climate change. And you're crazy if you don't see that. Yeah, you are. You're crazy if you don't see it.
You're crazy.
Build Back Better is the theme that connects building back from coronavirus to climate change. Exactly what we expected. We've now been taught how to be afraid. This. As long as you can make people afraid enough by saying they're going to die.
Do transference. You do transference. You make them afraid of this, then you transfer them. They weren't afraid enough about climate change. It was going nowhere. In fact, they were losing out after Climate Gate and some of these other things.
Big problem.
They got that behind them, and they couldn't get the fear level back up. Now you got them. So they're fearful, and they're afraid of their own shadows. And you just transfer that fear from COVID to climate change. You just make it, okay, your fear is actually, you connect it to. And by the way, I don't want to tell them how to do their job, but I do have one little tip they could have used. They haven't used it. It's probably too late, which is during the Black Plague, there was a climate change taking place during the Black Plague, and because the temperatures had gone up a couple of degrees.
Oh, I hear you. They could blame COVID on climate change.
That's what they haven't done.
What's such an easy one?
Yeah, I thought it was an easy one, and I was afraid to mention it, but now it's like a little late in the game.
What do you mean? The Curry Dvorak Consulting Group.
We could have done it.
We could have hammered that shit.
They would have been way ahead of the game with our help.
Instead, Gavin Newsom, where he could have used our strategy, had to connect it to, heat.
One thing we do know, however, is we dealt with an unprecedented number of lightning strikes, some 14,000. What we do know is we dealt with unprecedented weather, heat dome on the west coast of the United States. What we do know is we had 130-degree weather here in the state of California, which arguably, if it's not a world record, it's very close to being a world record. The hottest record.
That's what I like so much about it. It's the hottest ever. It's never happened. Yeah, of course, it's in Death Valley, and
it's in Death Valley. Who cares?
Well, he's got to use it.
The hottest recorded temperature in modern world history. We do know that it had an impact in terms of our capacity to even provide the energy needs, not only here in the state, but put pressure even outside the state. So that is somewhat anomalous. It's anomalous in the context of what we grew up with decades ago. And they're almost becoming exceptions, more like the rule. And as a consequence, it begs the question, is what the scientists have been saying, 98 plus 99% of them for decades.
Can I stop this and bring in a fact?
Yeah, sure.
July 10th, 1913. Death Valley again. 134 degrees in 1913.
Fact check.
Lie.
What? Gavin Newsom, lie.
It's a lie. How come no one's pointing out this lie?
Lie. That was our impression of the mainstream media. And we continue.
Scientists have been saying 98 plus 99% of them for decades, taking shape. Is it in fact true that they no longer have asserted a point of view? They've proven their point of view. I would argue they have proven their point of view. I am not in denial about climate change. As I said the other day, Mother Nature has joined the conversation. It is overwhelming, the evidence. If you don't believe in climate change, Al-Rashid, please come to the state of California and we will re-educate you or ultimately enlighten you.
Wow.
Come to California. We will re-educate you.
Please come to the state of California and we will re-educate you or ultimately enlighten you as to the consequences of the earth and its temperatures increasing and the consequences that are having in terms of droughts, not just wildfires, as well as floods.
Okay, I have an idea. This is easily executable. And we have the producers. This is, after all, the best podcast in the universe. We have the producers to do this. I would like a pre-print study. That's what that's what we get all the time, and it's always, that's not scientific. Doesn't matter in this case. A pre-print study that just has a whole bunch of word salad in there that shows that climate change and the increase in temperature is the direct cause of COVID. And let's just get it out there, see what happens. I mean, we might as well show how good we are, for the exit, strategy. Yeah. It's just a thought. Just a thought. We can do that.
It's still very doable.
Yeah, put a couple of doctor names, affiliations, and a statement of no conflict. It's going to be fantastic. We should really consider that. Last one on Build Back Better. Even though Boris Johnson uses it himself, our favorite comedian news guy, Jonathan Pye, did his little rant about the Biden campaign slogan.
Sorry, what's his slogan? Well, like Biden for America, or what's his slogan? Build back what? Better build what? Build back better. That's awful. I mean, what does that even... Build back better?
Jeez.
You're sure about that? I mean, with a campaign slogan as catchy as that, how can he lose? Build back. It's almost as bad as I'm with her. I'm with her, i.e., it's all about me. Hand me the crown that is rightfully mine. Build back better. Make America Great Again. Superb campaign slogans. Brilliant. It says nothing and yet says everything. Obama. Hope. Brilliant. Doesn't mean anything. Hope. It's a concept. It's a dream, like making America great again. It doesn't mean anything. You're not promising anything. It's just concepts. Even Lock Her Up had a certain charm. Lock her up. You can't or you won't. Doesn't matter. Let's shout it anyway. Drain the swamp. Another good one. And he has, hasn't he?
Lock her up.
Jonathan Pye. You never know. It's like, is that real? He's so good. I like that so much. Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, here in the United States, we have an age-old tradition. We elect our leaders. We choose our leaders the same way we do our laundry soap. We look at the marketing. We let the messages influence us. And we've seen quite a bit of it this past week, John.
Quite a bit of what?
Of laundry soap marketing.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's always that. Oh, you mean you're talking about the Republican convention?
Yeah. I told you I'd take you into
one giant infomercial. It was actually,
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, just overall, I've been watching both. I watched both of these things.
Television perspective?
The Republican one, I thought it was better presented. That's debatable. And I thought it was much more up-tempo. It was more upbeat. They had it was positive. It had a positive vibe. It wasn't like dour and downtrodden.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to stop you right there. I'm sorry. I need to stop you for a supercut. Yes, I need to stop you for an M5M supercut.
Oh, the M5M. Well, I want to hear this.
Here's your M5M supercut about the light nature of the RNC.
Dark, divisive version of America. Dark and distorted version of reality. Dark, dystopian view of America. Dark warning.
Dark and sad.
Dark and divisive.
The first night of the convention, it really took a dark turn. It was very ominous.
And painting a dark picture.
Painting a dark picture.
Painting a dark picture.
But a lot of people saw a very dark picture.
Dark and dystopian.
Absolutely dark.
Dark portrait of America.
Darkness, doom, and gloom.
It quickly turned very dark.
Pretty bleak, dark, and scary.
There were certainly a lot of dark and dire pronouncements.
Pretty dark vision as well.
Yeah, it's darkness and fear.
Some of the speakers were quite dark.
But there were also dark appeals to the president's base.
As for the Biden campaign, it did release a statement calling the first night of the RNC dark and divisive.
Dark!
Well, I think, by the way, that last little part of the super clips is what triggered the rest of it. It was the DNC's press release saying it was dark and divisive. So everyone's, oh, yeah, that's what it was. Even though I don't know how many people actually watch it. Now, I know.
The thing that's interesting is, if you recall, in 2016, I think after one of the debates, Scott Adams identified this as some kind of super persuasion, a super persuader who would put the Democrats up to using the word dark. And what I think is they've overplayed their hand. They've just pulled it out again. And come on, I mean, even Brolf had to say it was well produced. There was some actual CNN actually saying, oh, it wasn't all that crazy, really.
This is true. I mean, they did blast the individuals, and Tapper came out and said, well, today's speakers include Donald Trump Jr., a liar.
Oh, no. What did he do?
I wish I had that clip. I was just watching, our jaw dropped. But let's listen to what NPR thought of the whole thing. Now, day two, we already got through day one. Now we're going into day two, and you were expecting an analysis of some sort, maybe an overall, she did well, he did well, she didn't do well. I didn't like the way this speech went. No. Let's listen to how NPR saw day two.
Days after unveiling the replanting of the Rose Garden, the First Lady used it as the backdrop for a political speech.
Yeah, in a departure from tradition, she turned federal property to her husband's personal political use. She acknowledged the crisis overshadowing the president's re-election campaign.
I know many people are anxious.
Now, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also spoke from Jerusalem. He was on an official trip, though he maintains it was his personal time. It was the first time in 75 years a sitting Secretary of State addressed a national political convention. His predecessors had said their job was to speak for the country, not for a party.
NPR national political correspondent Mara Liasson is on the line. Mara, good morning.
Hi, Steve.
The First Lady's speech was maybe the centerpiece of the evening. What stood out to you about it?
What stood out to me was that she didn't downplay the pandemic. She didn't call it an offensive nickname. She was trying to make it clear, make the argument that the president takes it seriously, something he doesn't always convey himself. She even said, quote, I don't want to use my time attacking the other side because that just divides the country. She also acknowledged racial unrest. She clearly understood that the two top worries for the voters the Trump campaign wants to reach and win back, suburban women. She also spoke in front of a small cheering crowd without masks, which is unusual. And that raised some ethical and legal concerns because she was speaking from the Rose Garden, which is part of the official White House complex and is not supposed to be used for partisan political events.
Before we get into that, just back to the television production, the differences in production, which was what I was hearing after the DNC was, Trump is scrambling. He's doing all these other things. It's not going to be that great. The production, the differences in production, we were just talking about it. So clearly someone was given a mission and power to create whatever the vision was for the RNC televised, streamed convention. And I hear that it's possibly two top producers from Burnett's shop who did that,
yes.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Makes sense. The DNC, to me, is emblematic of a bunch of people. You have Hollywood producers, you've directors, actors, you've got the top of the line, you've got all the money people, everything you need. And they were in a steering committee
Spielberg, for God's sake.
And the steering committee, no one is empowered. No one's really in charge. They're probably all over-socialized and afraid to offend. Oh, I don't want to offend you. Blah, blah, blah. They can't just say, fuck it, this is no good. Let's do it like this. Television is a contact sport. It's hardcore.
Yes, we discussed this on this show a lot.
Yeah, and you're going to be talked to strictly and curtly, and sometimes it'll hurt. That's a burn, Curry. That sucked. You can't say that. We'll do it again. I can ask once or twice why, but at certain points, the crew will look at me like, shut up.
We want to go home.
Yeah, we want to go home. Or if I could move it to a meal penalty, they kind of liked me for that. So it was very, very difficult. Last night, the second night was just fantastic. I thought the way the First Lady, that production was top notch.
Oh, and yeah, they had cameras at the... This is Burnett again, because this is like a...
notch. It's like The Survivor. It's like, here comes the Bachelorette, It was
and because you have a camera position here and there. You never saw these cameras, by the way, from the deep shot.
Well, they had to rip away Michelle Obama's crabapple trees for the camera, so such a horrible...
Which is probably why they ripped them out. They had what you're right. It was like the Bachelor, the Bachelorette. It was, where this phone call, somebody picks up the phone and the camera's right there on her, and you don't think that that's fishy. Nobody thinks any of this is fishy. It was extremely high-end production compared to the Democrats, who have Spielberg, for God's sake.
And just the props. This, I think, was a great speech by the First Lady. The only thing she's being criticized for is her outfit. It was too militaristic, whatever. And Bette Midler...
I would criticize her because I still think her accent is annoying.
Well, you and Bette Midler, buddy. She literally got burned on Twitter for saying that.
Yeah, well...
Hey, artwork, everybody. There you go. You are the wind beneath her wings. You and Bette Midler. Really?
But I think it's cute. Bette Midler. Hey, Bette. How you doing?
I think it's kind of cute. I mean, it's what it is.
Now, I agree 100%. I think this was one of the finest, considering what their limitations were. And all NPR could come up with was, well, there's a violation of the Hatch Act. Oh, yeah. In fact, if we want to go in that direction, I want you to play Amy's version of the Hatch Act violation.
The Trump administration is facing accusations it's broken the law by using the powers of the federal government to aid the president's re-election campaign. During the second night of the Republican National Convention, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo addressed the convention while on a work trip in Israel in an apparent violation of the Hatch Act, which prohibits federal employees from participating in political activities. House Democrats are now investigating. 2 parts of Tuesday's convention were filmed inside the White House. Trump pardoned a convicted bank robber who went on to start a nonprofit to help formerly incarcerated people reintegrate into society. Trump, along with acting Homeland Security Director Chad Wolf, held a naturalization ceremony inside the White House for 5 immigrants from Bolivia, Lebanon, India, Sudan, and Ghana. The evening ended with a speech by First Lady Melania Trump in the White House Rose Garden. Melania Trump spoke in front of a live audience. It looked like several hundred in the Rose Garden, where the vast majority of the attendees, including President Trump and Mike Pence, did not wear masks. CNN reports many attendees were not tested for coronavirus prior to the event.
All right. I need to play. I got Yamiche. I got a Yamiche clip. I'm so proud. It's not easy for me to get a Yamiche clip. That's usually your beat. So we had last night was Trump loves chicks. It was women are empowered, women rock. Trump gives them all the opportunity. There's more women in senior positions. I mean, this is what the message was. I did not go ahead and fact check it for you. Tuesday night was all about Trump's not a racist. He's not a racist. He's not a racist, man. We got everybody coming on. Herschel Walker, Not a racist. Just not a racist, not a racist. Well, this did not set well with Judy and Yamiche.
Yamiche, what we are seeing is an aggressive attempt on the part of this party and of President Trump to say, I'm not a racist. We heard that from Herschel Walker a few minutes ago. We're hearing now from State Representative Jones of Georgia to saying this president does have support among black Americans to push back on the narrative that they say is not the whole picture about him.
That's right. And the Republican Party as a whole in 2012 did a really long autopsy trying to figure out how to expand their base and how to diversify the party. Then came Donald Trump, and he did the exact opposite of what the party said. He focused on racial division. He focused on immigration. He called immigrants rapists and criminals. He said we needed more police, not less police. And then, of course, while he's in office, President Trump has really, really beat up on the Black Lives Matter movement. He's called people anarchists. He's called them not good for America. He's really called into question whether or not people should be taking to the streets after we see deaths like Jacob Blake in Wisconsin or George Floyd in Minnesota. So the RNC tonight is really trying to push back on that notion. But critics of President Trump say that no matter what people around him say, the president himself has really been the person giving his critics their ammunition. We can think back to his response after Charlottesville when he said there are very fine people that go.
Wait, you blew the kicker, bro!
Been the person giving his critics their ammunition. We can think back to his response after Charlottesville when he said there are very fine people that go to Nazi rallies and even...
It's new and improved. There's not very fine people.
Holy shit.
There's not very fine people
I missed
on two
this.
sides. It's very fine people at the Nazi
rallies. Very fine people go to Nazi rallies. How does this woman have work? How does she even in the business? She's the worst journalist ever. There are plenty of very fine black reporters that should have her job.
Let's hear it one more time.
Giving his critics their ammunition. We can think back to his response after Charlottesville when he said there are very fine people that go to Nazi rallies. And even now, as we're in the midst of this racial reckoning, he's talking about the idea that he doesn't think that police reform or systemic racism is as widespread as Democrats make it be out to seem.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, clip of the day.
Thank you. I was waiting for it. I think that's appropriate. Clip of the day from Yamiche.
I gotta send that to Scott Adams. That is the best version of very fine people I've ever heard.
Yamiche, no less, on PBS.
On PBS, your bastion, your national treasure. Wow.
Yeah, it's beauty, isn't it?
Okay, I'm going to go back to something in the first clip that we drifted away from.
All right.
Was the comment from NPR that Pompeo, when he gave his speech, was the first time, and they mentioned he's 75 for 75 years, and everybody wants to, they avoided doing it. Well, 75 years ago we're talking about the 1946 election against Dewey.
Oh, boy.
And 75 years ago, the only person that was Secretary of State was Truman's Secretary of State. So the last person to do this was Truman.
Uh-huh.
And before that, it was not uncommon.
Oh, really?
It was Eisenhower who killed the practice.
Huh.
And then since then, no one has done it since. No one's had the guts to do it. And the longer you wait, the harder it is. So Trump reintroduces the practice that Truman was the last guy to do. I just thought that should have been mentioned, but nobody said anything.
Well, Tuesday, really the Tuesday airing was the trigger fest. I mean, it was just with the naturalization, excuse me, Rona, with the naturalization of the new citizens, what else? The pardoning. I think the
pardoning was great.
The first night was Trump just doing like a talk show. It's like sitting down with doctors and nurses. Yeah, what are you feeling? Okay. We are unaffiliated on this show and have always been. That's why I can tell you from donating to both campaigns that not only did Trump ratchet that shit up to 7 times match, but so did Joe Biden. Also 7 times match.
What does that even mean? It's bullcrap.
No, I told you what it is. There's money that is unaffiliated because the person or the organization doesn't want their name connected to the donation. So the way they get around the reporting requirements, some loophole let you use that cash in someone else's name with a match. I think 7 times is kind of stretching it a little bit, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, I agree.
But what I saw, so I preface this by saying, in America, we elect our leaders the same way we buy our soap, washing soap. And I think Trump will win, including the popular vote. And I've been picking hits all my life, whether it's songs or news stories or technologies.
Yeah, you've been picking your nose.
I said it in 2015 when everyone was laughing. It'll be just as good for this show if Biden wins. So
it might even be better.
It might even be better. And
I think it might be better. But
also the country won't be lost if he doesn't win. The country is better than that.
I like the concept that what they're doing, and they don't want a lot of people. They kind of grudgingly admit that it's a little better than the horrible Democrat convention, where people are literally sitting on their couches at home, poorly mic'd,
crappy
giving
audio.
a speech.
Wait, you have to hear the response after the "he's not a racist" night from CNN. So
okay,
this is great.
In terms of what the Republicans were accomplishing this evening, what they tried to accomplish, you're right, Wolf. I think they definitely were trying to appeal to the base. Obviously, they were showing a lot of diversity in the people that they had speak this evening. It's not representative of the Republican Party as a whole, certainly not representative of the Republican Party or the Trump administration here in Washington, D.C.
How much do you think of some of this tonight was sort of giving permission to more moderate white voters that, you know what, it's okay for you to vote for Donald Trump despite his rhetoric on some of his racist rhetoric over the last 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is often what it's about. It's sort of an indirect appeal to white voters when you kind of put black issues, black people, black Republicans front and center, as we saw happen tonight. Nikki Haley, obviously a woman of color, and then Tim Scott, and then a couple of other African Americans. I mean, on the whole, the Republican Party actually isn't very diverse. It sort of seemed a little diverse tonight, with Tim Scott making that final sort of keynote address, and then Nikki Haley making a kind of keynote address. But by and large, this is a party that is right now based on sort of white identitarianism.
They can just say they feel that they were tokens. That's what they're saying. They're too chicken shit to say it. They're just tokens. They're just tokens. Yeah, they're just tokens. So insulting. Even to say that is insulting.
Yeah.
How dumb are these people?
That's what's starting to be picked up on.
Yes, of course.
As a break here, I want to play a C-SPAN call. This was a woman who came in on the Democrat line. I believe she's not a phony. A lot of people call on the other line and they pretend to be one thing or another. And I think this harkens back onto your concept that it's really about selling soap. And if you look at the Republican convention, it's slick. It's the infomercial. It's well done. It's the phony baloney reality TV. You nailed it. It's Burnett's people. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And let's listen to this caller. And I think she's sincere.
Yes, I'm a Democrat, and our convention last week is no comparison to what I've seen in just the last 2 nights.
What do you mean?
I'm from Minnesota, where all these riots and looting and the burning started, and I mean, not a mention about us last week, about saving our communities, helping our homeless, rebuilding our businesses. And this convention, just in the last 2 nights, has awakened me that there is hope, that there are people that are willing to fight for us people in our communities.
Barb, are you in the Twin Cities area or outside?
in the Twin Cities,
and
right outside the Twin Cities.
Has some of the protests, have they frightened you?
Oh, absolutely. They've been, 7 miles away with a new John Johnson of our party going into a neighborhood with 200 of Black Lives Matter supporters and terrorizing innocent neighbors in a community. It is scary.
All right.
And not a mention.
And Barb, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you for calling in to everybody this evening. We'll be back again tomorrow night.
I really believe, and this is just as a television guy, I think it supersedes everything. Television and imagery supersedes in the American public. Don't underestimate the American public. That's a big mistake. So
it's totally huge. It's a huge mistake.
Yeah, I mean, look at what's popular on television, and that's what people. I know very intelligent children in their 20s who love. Look at number one show. Is it not Bachelor, Bachelorette? It's what it is.
They're up there.
It's that theme. It's that vibe. It's the smoothness. It's the every element. The only thing that really, really was so wrong was Judge Jeanine 2.0. I mean, I can just see Don Jr. going, yo, Kim, chill, baby. Down 50 dBs. The dog biscuits are blowing me away. That was wrong.
So let's float back to NPR, and they had the Trump hater and very well-known Democrat strategist Paul Begala talking about the RNC event, and I just thought this would be worth listening to.
I want you to know you're not alone.
And we should note this adds a message for the Republicans. Other convention speakers who've mentioned the pandemic have generally praised the president for successfully fighting it in their view. How did Melania do?
I thought she did very well. I thought she was the best speaker last night. Unfair to compare her to Michelle Obama or Jill Biden at the Democratic convention, but it is interesting. Dr. Biden used her time to humanize her husband, to tell the story of how their family had been shattered by tragedy and how they knitted it back together, using that as a metaphor for then what she hopes her husband can do for the country. Mrs. Trump didn't go that route. She at least was the only person who spoke from the reality-based world, though. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and you would have never known it from the other speakers. So I'm glad she did that. And it was noteworthy that she was, to me, as somebody who used to work in that White House, speaking from the parking lot formerly known as the Rose Garden. I'm not very happy with her aesthetic, but I did like her speech.
Well, let's talk about the location, because that was one of several questions about this. We have Melania Trump from the Rose Garden. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo spoke from Jerusalem while on an official trip. Now, he said he did it on his own time. Our correspondent Mara Eliason has noted that the laws on this are weak. It's hard to say, these people should go to jail or something, but there are laws and prohibitions against using federal property for personal political purposes. My question to you as a political pro is, do you think voters care about that?
Not many. No, I do, because I'm a nerd. But I think it would be unwise for the Democrats to fixate on that too much, because we're in a pandemic. I think the Democrats ought to say, look, the president should speak from a COVID ward. He should speak from an ICU unit. He should speak from a morgue.
From a morgue.
The president should speak from a morgue.
Oh, I think it's a rare double clip of the day. Clip of the day. Now, that is advice you will never get from the Curry Dvorak Consulting Group. Mr. President, we think you should
that's his
speak
advice.
From the morgue.
Now, obviously, he's still plugged into the machine, and so we have not seen the Democrats hound the president about the fact that he did the Rose Garden
the media is the M5M. The media is doing it,
right? The media has begged off on it. NPR has not. I got story after story where they're moaning and groaning, but NPR's influence is nil.
They got a lot of airtime to fill, so they got to do something. What's the story of the day?
This is a point, and I think Begala is correct that this is nothing to harp on, and the fact that Pompeo spoke is so what is kind of a so what moment. But that brings me to one of the WTF NPR. This came from this is a Pence, a very short clip from NPR, and I want you to listen to this carefully. And this is a total What? They quote. You just have to listen to this clip. It just makes zero sense.
Vice President Mike Pence often quotes the Bible in his speeches. Pence referenced this passage in the Old Testament during a surprise visit to the Republican National Convention on Monday.
I just can't help but think of those ancient words. Who am I? And who is my family that you've brought us this far? And I want to thank you for the honor of this day.
Pence has helped President Trump shore up white evangelical voters. And as the vice president gets ready to address the GOP convention tonight, NPR's Sarah McCammon speaks with some of those evangelical voters.
Okay. What was the point of that quote?
Not sure.
They dropped this crazy quote in. They go, Pence, he's a Bible thumper. Pence is thumping a Bible.
I guess.
And here he is again. And then he said this. And then they play this innocuous, I don't even know what it means. It probably could be, it's probably interpretable. But
I learned something about Pence that somehow I did not know. But it put everything about Mike Pence into perspective for me. He's a radio guy. This is a radio guy playing vice president. It's brilliant. He is a radio nerd like us, except, he's more I'm Mike Pence. Good morning. His career was in radio.
What?
Yes!
When was this?
That's the whole, did you watch last night? Dun, 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 nesty boys and nesty girls. You gotta, this was what tripped me out. They did this whole, the bio piece.
Is that why he's got that voice?
Yes, everybody, it's Mike Pence in the morning. Yeah, look at his career. It'll trip you out. Life and early background, blah, 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 blah. Early career. I'm just looking at Wikipedia. I can't find it. But there was this whole bit of, and they had him doing Good Morning, Indiana. It's like, he was a radio. So now I know. This is his even the name, Mike Pence in the morning. This is a radio guy. And it doesn't mean that he's not sincere or that he's not a good manager. I don't know. But his whole appearance, everything says classic radio guy. Face perfect for radio. Polish it up a little bit. Very interesting. It made total sense. Total sense.
Yeah. Now, I got one of the WTF clips, and this is just an 11-second short clip that was just like you just have to play it.
As the Republican National Convention kicked off Monday, the Republican Party announced it would not adopt a new platform and instead pledged its support to President Donald Trump.
What?
She should have used the word fealty.
What does that even mean?
They pledged their fealty to Herr Trump. I mean, this is the stupidest. For one thing, why do they need a new platform? It's the same president. So they didn't change the platform. So what? How is that even reportable?
That's fantastic. Here you go. Mike Pence radio show from 3 years ago.
Oh, you're back. I
can't help myself.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I know you're.
Okay.
Wait, back it up again.
No, I'm not going to do it.
You're just stepping all over my clip.
I'm going to let you go. I'm sorry.
The point is, what is the point of they pledged their fealty to Trump? It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard her say.
What is fealty? Is that alliance or
fealty?
Allegiance?
That's something you read in a fictional book. Oh, I pledge the fealty. It's like some sort of give all of them. It's just like some sort
Harry
of
Potter, Harry Potter type thing.
Yeah,
Game of Thrones
to the evil side. The Republican Party has pledged their support to Trump. It's just ridiculous. Anyway,
oh man, yeah. And last night wasn't so enjoyable. It just wasn't. It was okay. The speeches were good and they were personable. And I love seeing, whenever you see someone who's, standing up when they clearly shouldn't be. And I think it looked like there were some exoskeletons or some really interesting technology the Wounded Warriors had in the front row at last night's Pence acceptance speech. But that, Fort Detrick, that was beautifully lit too. That was, what do we really know about Fort Detrick? I thought that was nice to see. They got the aerial shots. They explained, this is where the Star Spangled Banner was written.
They had some jib shots of the speech from Melania that were just like, wow.
Yeah,
they had a crane. It wasn't even a jib.
No, it was not a jib. They had a crane.
They had a crane shot.
Yeah.
That's expensive.
I mean, it was actually just entertaining television. The content, okay. There was some funny, some, little tearjerker, but at least it flowed over you, not like a one nonstop Zoom call.
But it wasn't it wasn't like a crappy Zoom call. It was really, it was pretty. If you just turned the sound off and watched it, you'd say, wow, this is well done.
Yeah, but not too much. It didn't go, because you have that level with title cards and beauty shots. And they had, they put the light star filter in.
Well, that's why you're right. That's why, again, Burnett is the king of this.
But he didn't go over the top. Like if you look at, what's the Mark Levin? He does the show on Fox.
Yeah,
too much. That's
it's terrible.
Republican lettering and everything.
Overproduced. He's got a fireplace. The whole it's
lame.
Stupid.
Lame. Exactly. No,
Burnett is to watch a guy that, of course, he's been doing this forever.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a screwy guy if you ever see him with his wife.
Oh, these guys are all whack jobs. They got to be.
Yeah, he's definitely a whack job. But he's got a sensibility about doing this type of television that is, you want to work for a guy like that just to see what you can learn. Well, the Democrats had Spielberg. That's what they got. Nothing.
So here's the hidden message that I picked up, which I think is important for the Trump campaign, is Minnesota and Maine. And Minnesota is important. That came through to me as we had the farmers, we had a logger, all Minnesotans who, it was a message to Minnesota. Minnesota, Trump is doing good for you. And Maine, this has got to do something with some voodoo electoral college stuff that's being worked on. All of a sudden, the Maine lobster guys, they got their turf back that was taken away in the name of protecting something. And that was another big message that came through. So I think it was, Minnesota and Maine is a big focus for the campaign for Trump and the Republicans. And I also realized I've been to Bemidji, Minnesota. I just remembered that.
Bemidji.
I heard someone say Bemidji. I'm like, I've been to Bemidji, Minnesota. I think
you've been to Bemidji.
I have. It was a very bad top 40 radio station. I used to travel around and do the morning show.
Where is Bemidji?
In Minnesota. I don't know. I think they have a small airport.
Is it near one of the lakes?
I don't remember. But how can you forget a name like Bemidji?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's 10,000 lakes.
It's right near the lakes. Couple other before we got to take our break. Couple other things. Heavy on the school choice. Trump has been pushing this real hard, and I think that's a tactical move, which may pay off.
A good move
with schools not open or problems opening schools. Vernon Jones, I'd say that's the Democrat state representative from Georgia, who I think he literally said, I'm a free man.
Vernon Jones, you sure got his name right?
Yeah, Vernon Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, Vernon Jones. Also, thank you to the First Lady for being pretty much the only person who every single time consistently said our country. She may have been hard for you to understand, you and Bet there tweeting each other, but I really appreciated that. That was nice. You just don't hear it enough.
Yeah, I agree.
So that was good. And just Pence being a radio guy, it disqualifies him for presidency. I'm sorry. I will not support Pence, a radio guy. We cannot have a radio guy running our country. It's just not going to work. I know our profile. It's not good for us. What do you think?
I'm flabbergasted by this, and I don't know. I think there has to have been a radio guy already. I mean, there hasn't been enough radios since, radio really came into vogue into 1919. So since then, I don't know how many radio guys may have snuck in.
I mean, a podcaster, sure. Yeah.
Well, the podcasting is down the road.
Hey, and with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say, in the morning to you, the man who put the C in convention, ladies and gentlemen, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning to all the boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to the trolls in our troll room. Let me get a little troll count. Hands up, trolls. We have 1484. We are 16 low. But we also had the slow 8-car Zephyr, so maybe it's connected. The Trolls, it's a live chat room. It's open 24 hours a day, every single day.
What's the number today? Is it only 16?
No, 1484.
Oh, geez, it's terrible.
It's the quantum financial reset, baby. It's like everyone's off-world. They got no time for the troll room. You can go to the troll room by going to noagendastream.com. You can listen to this show live. We have many shows running on that the same feed, 24 hours a day, podcast. You can communicate, talk about it, troll each other, troll live shows, and certainly hit Doug up for an invite to noagendasocial.com, our federated, non-algoized social network where you can actually enjoy the signal-to-noise ratio, and that's at noagendasocial.com. And we'd like to thank the artist for the artwork for episode 1271. We titled that 3 Screws. This was a John choice. You were very adamant, and you really liked it, and I completely agree. This was by Cesium 137. It was a beautiful piece from behind, shot from behind the back of a crowd. The crowd's a little bit, you got depth of field out of focus, and the sign being held up is "We Need No Agenda." Technically, I think a very good piece. Very big problem for promotion.
Yeah, because it didn't show up well on Twitter. And the artists should make a note of what Adam's about to tell you.
Look at how Twitter, almost any social network, when you post a picture, an image, it will crop that. And what you want is the sweet spot. You want, the main message to pop out in that frame the social network gives to you. Because what we saw here was literally 2 arms and some crowd, which sucked because it's such a great image, and it worked really well otherwise. And that's like this morning I had the same thing. I was looking for a pre piece of art for the pre-stream, and I got one, but the big 1272, which in that case for the pre-stream I like doing that, didn't show up, just like some fire and hell. It was not a very inviting thing. Hey, we're live. Come on over to the fire and hell. So that's just a note. Otherwise, obviously, thank you so much, Cesium. Thanks to all the artists. You do phenomenal work. And the value that the show gets from doing this is really off the charts. And as promised, great art shows up on cool things. Art becomes reality. No Agenda Shop tweeted out this morning the Deep State University T-shirt, sweatshirt, and I believe hoodie is now on sale. And that's remember that was the artwork.
Yeah. I do remember, as a matter of fact.
Well, this is where you can get really excited that that's now on sale.
Oh, I'm digging around. Sorry.
Oh, you did digging around. Here, Deep State University, I'm just looking at it here. No hoodies. They got a T-shirt. By the way, this is not our operation. These guys are independent from the show. They work with the artists, give the artist a cut, donate a cut to the show. They got hats with it. Oh, we have tote bags now. Oh, boy. Party time tote bag. We have Tumblr. We got tote bags. Remember the tote bags we never gave out 10 years ago?
Yeah, the 33 bags.
Yeah, because they had toxins, Chinese toxins.
Well, the black ones stunk too. They were just horrible.
You can enjoy your tote bag, just don't put any fruit or vegetables in it. We're not sure. It was a great story, and Eric had these bags, and we went like, holy crap, this is toxic. I didn't even want it in the house. It was so bad. Yes, that was the end of the 33 tote bags. Such a shame. Anyway, noagendaartgenerator.com is where you can share your art. You can take a look at what's done, and it's amazing how many pieces we get. It's part of our value for value proposition. you get out of it what you put into it, and we really appreciate the executive producers and the associate executive producers who come in with big financial support every single show, and we're going to thank we're going to thank them right now.
Yeah, let's start off with Deanna Carroll in Laughlin, Nevada. Laughlin, who is which is just outside of Las Vegas. $828.55, and she says, "I have emailed full note to John.
Let me
there
guess.
Is no note there is no note under the subject line donation. There's no note under the subject or under the sent line Carol or Diana. So I don't know what email you use, but let me tell everybody this. If you could put this information into the note at PayPal, cut and paste the email into the PayPal. You cut it and paste it. Because if you hit the return key, it sends it. So you just cut and paste the whole thing, drop it in there. Because you wrote this, you might as well write the whole thing. So I'm not scolding you, but I'm mentioning to people that if you use, a lot of people use like, Jimbo as their email address. They don't use their name.
It's a ban on Jimbo now.
They don't use their name. They use something else. And so, maybe the email note came in earlier. I missed it. I don't look at everything that comes in necessarily. But if you don't have donation in the subject line, that doesn't help. There's a bunch of mistakes people make, and then I don't get the email.
I don't have it either. So I feel bad because we only...
But she has the gist of it here, so I'm not too concerned.
Yeah, but how do we don't have a night name? No, maybe it's a surprise.
Well, I think it is a surprise. She credited to her smoking hot hubby this donation to Danny Carroll.
Yeah.
Not only is his 55th birthday, we have him on the list for that.
We sure
on 8/28. But this brings him to the round table, so we'll just add him as Sir Danny Carroll to the round table.
I'm all in on that, and if he wants to change it later, that's perfectly okay.
Yeah,
and
we always do upgrades.
Yeah, in fact, unlike Delta, we always do upgrades here at No Agenda.
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Mark in Manhattan's next on the list at $500. I have two, by the way, besides that gripe, and I'm sorry, Diana, for that, but I have one other gripe coming up. Mark in Manhattan, 500. And it's like, you get picky. Mark, meanwhile, $500 from Mark. Semi-anonymous note, but anyway, he goes on about, he's an art generator. He goes on about that. It's not important. I have been a douchebag for far too long. This is important. I started listening when Adam still lived in Los Angeles. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, I've contributed some art and even one piece used for the show, 1263. I've long neglected a proper monetary donation. Your reasonable information-based coverage of COVID-19 has been priceless and kept me sane while living through the M5M fear porn coverage of the pandemic in New York City. So he's a New Yorker. He's in Manhattan.
He's a Manhattanite.
Currently suffering through it's got to be miserable being in Manhattan the last 6 months. The greatest city in the world sucks. Your reasonable information-based coverage, he goes on. I'm sorry. Currently suffering through an ongoing lockdown despite having one of the lowest infection rates in the country. Seems Cuomo has decided Trump being out of office is the final indicator that will allow New York to open back up.
With the money from China.
With the money from China. He left that out. Please accept $500 to start my long-delayed journey to knighthood.
Wow.
No need for jingles, but assuming things are semi-anonymous, I could really use a short shot of karma to help me through an extended legal and financial battle with my horrible ex-wife.
Holy crap. No. Oh, my gosh. Well, yeah, and we're going to de-douche it. That.
You've been de-douched.
There's nothing like a little goat karma for that problem.
You've got karma.
That should solve it.
Next is David Drake at 376.55. He brings him halfway to knighthood. I'm glad to know. I love what you and John do, although I can feel my amygdala growing larger by the news coming out of Australia regarding invasive monitoring. He is, by the way, he's in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
By the invasive monitoring of citizens. We need to fight against that. I'm a Virginia physician, and I have many of us believe the COVID stuff is overblown. Many of the physicians in Virginia, of all places. I've attached some recent articles from the last JAMA Somebody must have pissed off JAMA, which is more an opinion journal these days than a research journal. Literally 2-to-1 opinion to research articles. I don't know how you want these broken down, but this first article, and he goes on with a discussion of the
remdesivir.
Of remdesivir having no effect. I'll just summarize. Remdesivir has no effect, and studies that prove it. Article 2, I wasn't going to read these, I'm going to read them. Race and COVID, a study of over 11,000 hospitalized patients with COVID conclude there is no difference between black and white patients.
Yes, I have that study in the show notes if anyone wants to see it.
And then he's got a third one, which is face shields. It talks about how the face shields may or may not work, but 4 workers who became symptomatic. This is in India. They were all treated with hydroxychloroquine, and all 4 recovered. And he says, in speaking with colleagues, this is a doctor of mine, we were both agreed we'd take hydroxychloroquine if we were COVID positive.
Yeah. Of course they would.
$376.55. Thank you, Dr. Drake. Andrew Young's next on the list from Cincinnati, Ohio. 33939. Thank you both for the show. I've been enjoying it for years. Keep it up. Donation is a gift to myself for my 39th birthday. You're on the list Friday the 28th. Also, a shout out to my tall, shady buddy Chris, who turns the big 40 next week.
All right.
Do we have him on the list, Chris?
Yeah, I think he is. Yep, he's on the list.
Oh.
I think, well, hold on. I'll double check. Chris, I just recall that. I'm pretty sure. No, so we'll add Chris. I'll do that. I'll add him to the list.
And then he says jobs karma for everybody.
Interestingly, Andrew Young isn't even on the list himself. What is this?
He's in yellow.
He's not on the list. What is this? Okay, Andrew Young. I'll tell you what. Let me do the jobs karma, and then you can do the next one.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
Next on the list is Sir Baltimore John of the Mud Flats in El Cerrito, which is right down the street from me, literally. 333.33. Thanks for helping me cope with stay safe and ad nauseum. Merely thinking of responding, go fuck yourself, is enough to keep my amygdala properly sized. Adam, thanks for recently redirecting me and the rest of the producers to the World Economic Forum website, a.k.a. the greatest globalist rabbit hole on the web.
It's pretty much
it's
right.
Indeed true. Yeah, you go there, you're going to spend some time.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's
which is what you guys support the show for and with. That's exactly the point.
You'd love it. It's a lovely, lovely site.
It's great.
Jobs and human resource, and they leave it all out there because they figure people are too stupid to note that there's something about
hubris.
It reminds me of the old Green Bay Packers, the original team when they're Vince Lombardi. People always say, well, they pretty much told you what they were going to do, and then they did it.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what's going on with these guys. They're telling you what they're going to do, and then they're going to do it, and nobody's going to stop them. Anyway, he wants jobs and resource karma for everybody left to have more money and more kids. Okay. Top it off with some sharp and good sirs. Please, thank you for your courage, love and light. Stay safe, buckle up with Jesus, with gratitude. Sir Baltimore John of the Mud Flats.
Man, we haven't had a single jingle request, so I'm hitting you with
We just had one, yeah.
Well, I mean, this is the first one, really.
A number out of, yeah.
He's getting lunch at Chipotle. The tortillas in the race. Kim Kardashian, Sigourney Weaver, Rush, R-E-S-P-I-C-T. They're all jitty, R-E-S-P-I-C-T. There's no real conflict. Resist. We must. Resist. We must. We must. And we will much about that. Be committed.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
Sir Luke Rayner, the Viscount of London and the Southeast. In London, this is a first associate executive producer, $203.33. He's in UK, London, UK. Londoner. March was the last time I donated. Lockdown basically reduced my income by 80%. Thank you. Thank you, government. So I really was just getting by. Happily, I'm now able to run cycle events again around the English countryside just in time for winter.
Oh, good.
He says, ironically. I found I'd fall behind on shows during the lockdown and have mammoth sit-down sessions to catch up. No driving or exercise will do that. Thanks for... Oh, he probably listens to while he's on his bike. Thanks for continuing to be there for all the producers. I'd like a Reverend Manning Karma for this weekend event. Keep up the great work. Sir Luke Rayner, the Viscount of London.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. We haven't had a request from Manning in a while. Here we go.
They're saying that all hell is going to break loose and you're going to need a Bitcoin.
You've got karma.
You're going to need a Bitcoin.
Stephen Riley, $203. No note from him. At least any that are findable. Christopher Barron, thank you, Stephen. Christopher Blanco, Sir Real Estate of the North Coast in Mayfield Heights, Ohio, $200. Birthday wish. Happy birthday to the ravishingly beautiful Dame Ashley, Lady of the Lake, on August 28th.
Nice.
ITM. It's been 166 days that we were told 14 days to slow the spread.
Yeah. To flatten the curve.
We're back in business in Easter, if you recall.
Flatten the curve.
Flatten the curve. Emperor DeWine still has given zero indication of when we as Ohioans will be free to live our lives again. It's getting old. The other day I was accosted by a masked warrior outside the Chipotle. He said I was an a-hole for not wearing a mask and threatened to punch me in the face.
Oh, brother.
I took a step toward him and told him to go ahead. He backed off and turned around and went back inside.
Wow. All right.
This is getting insane, he continues.
Yeah.
To anyone in Northeast Ohio who is looking for a night of refuge from the insanity, join Dame Ashley, Earl Walkman, and myself at the Hooley House in Copley, Ohio on Saturday, August 29th. More info on the No Agenda meetup site. That's this coming Saturday.
Yeah.
The last meetup had over 20 attendees, and I look forward to seeing you all. That's a lot. Sir, Real Estate of the North Coast. Okay.
That's fantastic.
I think he's going to be listed in the... Now, the next note you can read, and it brings me to my second complaint, which I mentioned earlier. Any more notes like this, which are so big that they fill up my screen?
Well...
We are going, and I'm just saying this because of notes like this.
Okay, well,
and I don't want to complain about the donation.
No.
But Adam and I have talked about this. Word limits are coming. Word limits are coming.
So, but what he did, Brett W., first, he starts out by saying, in the morning, please keep my donation anonymous. Thank you for all you do, and the donation is my humble contribution. Just karma, please. I've also attached some clips from a recent episode. Hope you find it interesting. So this is a combo. This is not meant to be read, and he did attach these clips. It came in too late for me to focus on so each one is a setup. So he's actually did a good thing here.
So he's producing a couple clips.
He's producing the clips, which I haven't had the time to review with his write-ups. Of course, I have it in the system, but I got it this morning, and it's kind of too late to do this stuff. But he does say he has a boots-on-the-ground report from Wisconsin. I'm also a member of a fine program of recovery, which has helped me and many others in many ways. I attend an AA meeting locally and local Serenity Club that rents the space out for all local meetings, AANA, Alon, a whole bunch of A's. Al-Anon, thank you. Pays the electric, makes sure somebody is there to open the door and start a meeting. The club can't afford rent anymore. No meetings, much less donations. Usually we pass a basket at every meeting, so there'll be no more meetings starting after this weekend. This is fucking crazy. There are hundreds of people who this will affect locally to me. I know we're not the only local chapter facing this. People are being told to go to these online Zoom meetings, but these are soulless and just not what people need to recover from addictions. Yes, we talked about this in Austin. It was a huge travesty because Austin, most of the AA meetings are at church. and school buildings and church buildings.
This is a travesty. I agree with this. I'm sorry I berated him for
no,
the
it's
long
okay.
note.
That was
not a long note.
No, it's okay.
But it is in play, I should mention. The idea of,
yes.
of word limit.
Word limits is in play. Yeah.
Word limits in play.
Yeah, word limits in play.
This idea of cutting these guys, these are the guys who need they need the stability of these meetings.
Of course.
And they're getting screwed. It's almost as though they're doing it on purpose. And I've used they, and I'm always condemning Adam for doing it. They are doing this on purpose.
Yeah, it goes right along with...
It's cruel.
Yeah, it's cruel. Thank you. It's cruel. Yeah. Well, I maybe someone can help in the area. Maybe someone knows something. How do they, I'm almost seeing no agenda meetups, it's just like we almost need to have a something like an NAAA meetups. This needs to be coordinated. Someone needs to jump in. This is also a huge health issue. Huge. Okay, well, now I'm properly bummed out, but thank you very much
for the note.
Bringing it to our attention once again, and I'm going to throw some massive goat karma at you. Thank you very much.
You've got karma.
And Brett, if you're not on noagendasocial.com, join, maybe there's people there. This is where people help each other with all kinds of interesting things. Jobs, technical issues, deaths, births. It's very personable. Maybe it can help you somehow. Maybe we can get some contact and get a place to get something done. It's very disturbing. And of course, that none of this is really discussed. The only one kind of talking about it is Trump. I don't see medical people talking about this or CNN all outraged.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank these folks for producing this show, 1272. That's what we got here.
Yes, and we will be thanking our full production staff in our second segment. Looking forward to that. And remember that you executive and associate executive producers, these are actual credits. They're valid anywhere credits are recognized. I got a nice note from somebody who is up for a job in, I think it's Google Russia or Google, I don't know. There's some local Google office, and he gave me a heads up that I might be getting an email for a referral. Well, I'm happy to do it. It wouldn't be the first time. Both of us are available for that. That is part of these credits, is we will actually vouch for you. And please consider supporting us for the Sunday show. We'll have lots more deconstruction. There's plenty more to come here on today's show. But to help us out and to bring the value that you get from the show, please go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
Well, we pretty much know who produces the best television.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
I did want to mention something, John, before we move back. I think I've mentioned podcasting 2.0.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We're all on pins and needles about this. All of us podcasters.
Good. So the project is coming along very quickly. It's working well. I wanted to... probably about Sunday, I will talk a little bit more about it. There's going to be a podcast for developers that will. We're going to. I think we're going to produce it tomorrow, and it'll be just for developers, kind of analogous to the way podcasting booted up. But I'll tell you the first phase, just to make it understandable where I'm coming from, is and this is partially because of deplatforming of Alex Jones, which had this domino effect through different podcasting apps, since everyone kind of sucks off of the Apple index, which I gave to them in 2006 with my meeting with Steve Jobs. He wanted the blessing for podcasting in iTunes, which of course I was completely cool with. And I said, well, here's a copy of the index, the database. So this index is probably about 1.8 million podcasts. And if you look at the problem with Rogan going to Spotify, we're in this interesting scenario where basically other apps are competing with each other. So you have the Apple Podcast app, which has no discernible business model, and they've been a good stewards of their index. But, you go through the Apple vetting process. You can't just put something up there. It has to have all kinds of tags. Otherwise, they won't let you in there. And if they don't like you, then they can take it away. They've even taken some of their own podcasts off to move them into different areas. So there's a cancel feature I don't like. And then we basically have like radio apps like iHeart who have purchased Stitcher, and now they're building their own database. So they have deep analytics because it's closed, and they can advertise, slip ads into all podcasts or before them or whatever it is for your enjoyment. Same thing with Spotify. Their business models are corroded because they have to pay for every music stream. So they see this huge opportunity, and power to them, can't blame them. The issue that we have in podcasting, and what I'm focusing on, is developers of podcast apps have zero incentive to do this. They're not part of the financial flow, if there is any, and it's an enormous amount of work to create a podcast app. There's aggregation involved, notification, when things update. They usually will resort to polling from Apple, which doesn't really provide an API. You can kind of do a search and get some stuff back. So there's no incentive. And I think that we figured out some incentive for developers, just like we started back in the day with the first podcast receiving apps. I think there's a way to incentivize. And in fact, phase one is the motto is preserve podcasting as a platform for free speech. And phase two will be retool podcasting into a platform of value. And I wanted to let you know because not only is this podcast coming, but on next Wednesday, we're recording it. I'm the first guest in Joe Rogan's new Austin-based studio, which I definitely plan to talk about this because there's nothing better than doing that when, it's one of his first Spotify shows. So I think it's going to be a great week.
Well, he's been doing the Spotify shows. At least he's got them in the can, my understanding.
Yes, he does. I think he has the first week in the can.
But this would be just the first one from Austin.
Yeah, the first one from the studio. Yeah.
So he's building what is he doing? Is he buying a building? Is he buying his property? How's this working?
Well, I haven't seen it. I've been helping him with the move, whatever he needed, resources, etc. And I think that he has.
Yeah, I know. That means what restaurants and bars are good.
No, actually, he had an emergency and he needed a desk, a new desk for in the studio. And he said, "Do you know?" And it's like 2 weeks ago. I said, "Do you know?"
You got that guy that built your desk?
Well, the guy said the guy's building my desk right now. But if he's what you want, then I can put my desk on hold, which I did. And I think he's built. I haven't talked to him, but I think he's built. I think that worked out.
Oh, that's dynamite.
So stuff like that. And yes, restaurants, obviously. And what hairdresser for the girls. I mean, of course, this is what you do. Welcome to Texas. So I'm very excited. To be in, there's not much better than going on the Joe Rogan show than being invited back on the Joe Rogan show. And I'm sure that tickles all of our Rona supporters. Roganites very much. This was quite funny. I got my hair cut yesterday, and Johanna, who does my hair, she's like, I love Joe Rogan show. I said, yeah, of course. I wanted to ask you, do you think that you could let him know if he needs his hair done? And I looked at him like, you're serious? And she's, oh, you mean there's no hair under that hat? No, there's not. But he does have a wife and 2 daughters. So anyway, I hope to be able to talk about the new project on the show, but of course, all about the No Agenda show and how tickled we are with the quality of producers that have showed up since the first appearance. The Roganites are nice to have. It's a good group.
I noticed this. They are a good group.
Yeah. So, all right.
Did you get any action from doing the Tom Woods show?
Yeah. Well, we had Yes, definitely. I thought we had a donation or two. Didn't we have a donation?
I don't remember. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Well, Tom Woods. It's another perfect crossover. So whenever I feel despair about how. Whenever I feel despair about how the M5M is just crushing humanity, with lies and deceit.
They are.
I always think it's the end for them. Look at Rogan. Look at the No Agenda show. Look at Tom Woods' show. Hey, I'll put Tim in there. What's it? Tim Pool. People are not thinking like the elite messaging system wants them to anymore, and that's just good. And I'm just happy about it. And our Joker cover is coming out. It's already, the 33. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
The special 33 cover, it's already a collector's item.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Our Batman Joker comic book cover.
I forgot about that completely. Yes, we have a superstar comic book. We have a lot of people like this guy.
Not like this guy. Not like this guy. This is
okay.
Of this caliber.
We have a lot of high-end guys in various fields.
Exactly.
And we have a high-end comic book guy who does those ridiculous drawings that, I don't know how anyone can do any of them. And there's very few people in that league. And he considers himself second tier.
Right. Anyway.
Which is pretty funny.
So the first one, it's, out for collectors, and I already saw it. It's like $60 or $70 on eBay. And there'll be two more. This is just the Light 33, which is a slight reference. Apparently the next two covers will be much more apparent. I have to say, I'm not a comic book guy, but I'm kind of jitty about that. Something cool about it. It's real cred for us somehow. I dig it.
It'll look good on the wall. Let's put it that way.
And now to get back to the news, I would like to identify a new term which is trending.
You didn't roll us out.
What do you mean? Yeah, I did. I did the whole thing.
Oh, how did I miss it? I must have zoned.
You're flooding your own zone, JCD. You're flooding your own zone.
No, it's like, the show is becoming so routine that I'm missing parts of it now.
Okay.
Zone.
All right, we'll have to keep you awake then from time to time.
Yell at me.
Just throw a goat scream at you. Yell at me.
Actually, I've been spending my time looking at the second half donations.
Yeah.
We have like 10 of them.
I know.
It's really pathetic.
It's very short. It's a short show. But I would like to talk about the trending word of the moment. See if you can identify it.
I do think that what you said, what's happening in Kenosha, is a Rorschach test.
How many times have we heard this one, the Rorschach test, which is the...
I don't know where they got it from. I don't know why they would use it. Nobody knows what it means.
Everybody. I've heard all over CNN. It is not... I'm just waiting for the supercut. And the Rorschach...
they're amusing themselves.
The Rorschach test is the ink blots, correct?
Yep.
And I think it's their version of one movie, one screen, two movies. That's why they say Rorschach test.
I like that.
And this was actually a pretty decent exchange between Don Lemon and the Cuomo kid talking about the riots in Kenosha, which I think we should definitely discuss in a moment, and how that is. Well, listen.
I do think that what you said, what's happening in Kenosha, is a Rorschach test for the entire country. And I think this is a blind spot for Democrats. I think Democrats are ignoring this problem or hoping that it will go away. And it's not going to go away. And so, unless someone comes up with a solution over the next 73 days or 70, however many days. 68 days. 68 days. So it's not going to, the problem is not going to be fixed by then. But what they can do, and I think maybe Joe Biden may be afraid to do it. I'm not sure. Maybe he won't. Maybe he is. He's got to address it. He's got to come out and talk about it. He's got to do a speech like Barack Obama did about race. He's got to come out and tell people that he is going to deal with the issue of police reform in this country, and that what's happening now is happening under Donald Trump's watch, on Donald Trump's watch. And when he is the president, Kamala Harris is the vice president, then they will take care of this problem. But guess what? The rioting has to stop. Chris, as you know and I know, it's showing up in the polling. Mm-hmm. It's showing up in focus groups.
Okay. It goes on a little bit, but I wanted to stop here. Don Lemon says specifically, Chris, as you and I know, it's showing up in the polling. It's showing up in focus groups. Are these journalists or are they DNC insiders is my question. Have they been giving this research? And
are you asking this question seriously?
Yeah, well, not so much seriously as in what a tell. Yeah, they're openly saying that they got the research, and we know it's a real problem, so it's got to stop. That's what the focus group says. It's one
they're
thing.
Not reporting.
Thank you.
They're now recommending action.
Yes, yeah, exactly. If it's okay, focus groups apparently say that this has got to stop. No. That's not how it works, and this is a big tell.
Then they will take care of this problem. But guess what? The rioting has to stop.
Does he
stop?
Does he have to guess?
Well, it's almost like me with
Does he have to stop and guess?
It's almost like my rhetorical question, I guess.
Rioting has to stop. Chris, as you know and I know, it's showing up in the polling. Mm-hmm. It's showing up in focus groups. Mm-hmm. It is the only thing right now that is sticking. And the Democrats tonight stuck with that, right? And they also stuck with the theme that you said, the coronavirus. You got the coronavirus and you have Kenosha.
And on Kenosha, this is another excellent example of the elite messaging system just not working anymore. I didn't have to do much work. It's everywhere who these people were, who was involved, there's video from multiple angles. You can clearly see what's happening here. And for these things to be taken the way they are, it's like white supremacist, Nazi kid with the long gun, the long rifle. You mentioned this in the newsletter as this narrative is now being built. Whereas, this is, unfortunately, this is what Mo predicted to me last week. He says, I see a civil war between white people, and we're sitting back on this one. I think he's right.
Well, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Well, this is in isolated areas, but I have two clips on Kenosha.
Okay.
Kenosha is problematic.
Whoa! You said
Sorry.
Problematic. Nasty.
I know. I will say it, but I usually warn people.
Huh.
First of all, I want to play NPR's The Report. This is a very short clip on it. Just a little bit about Kenosha. This is not the report. This is not the one I should be playing first. The first one is there's a longer clip, but the report I like because it because the woman says and then the guy says and they say a lot on NPR. It turns out if one person says the other person starts to say and I could ring the bell on all the but I'll let you listen and hear for yourself.
They, at that time, urged a lot of the people who were with them to go home and to respect the curfew. And a lot of them did, but some didn't and some stayed.
Well, we should say the City of Kenosha Police Department has tweeted out that there were 2 fatalities last night and that they're following this with an investigation. I know we don't know much, but do you know where this became deadly? Was this around the protest that you're talking about or somewhere separate?
Yeah, it was in the kind of general vicinity of the protest within about a couple blocks. And what we know about the investigation into the shooting so far is that they're focused on a group of civilians, I should say, who were there armed with guns and who were looking to protect private property. That's what they said, at least. They were there to try to prevent looting and things like that.
I can't make fun of it because I do a lot of that. And typically, when I'm trying to keep the flow going while I'm looking for clips or a story, I'll be.
It's not noticeable with you.
I get complaints.
Oh well, then it's noticeable to somebody.
Larry,
Here's
you
the
say
report on
you
Kenosha.
you say all the time, like that.
Are you saying or
I do a lot, apparently, too.
Well, I can call you on
Please do.
Tune into that, but
call me on I'll call you on Yamish.
I'm more tuned into your lip smacking, which you have reduced to zero, at least on this show.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, I can't really tune into too many things. I'm not that smart.
Well, and part of the reason for the reduction in lip smacking is a change to my compressor settings. I was peeking out on the smack.
Oh, by the way, while we're talking about that, let's discuss this a little bit.
Smack?
I'm listening to NPR, and they do not use a compressed sound to an extreme. And when you look at the waveforms, it's very hard to normalize because because you're talking into the mic so close that they will. It's just strange. It's a very quiet sound. They're always close miking. Everything's close mic.
Yeah,
and they talk like this.
Indeed.
And they have the dB ratio, signal to noise ratio is very extreme, so it's very silent.
Yes, it's kind of the opposite of your sound.
It's totally today. The opposite of the way I do it. I like a lot of noise. So it's interesting to look at the waveforms because it's so alien to everything else I clip. Especially the networks where it's just compressed and looks really pretty.
Right. The professional, though, like it should, just boom, like a block, a flat block of sound.
It's like a flat block, but not with NPR. Anyway, let's play the report on Kenosha shootings.
All right.
Video filmed by a bystander shows a young man with
I'm sorry?
What? This is Democracy Now!
It says, okay, yeah, it is Democracy.
Video filmed by a bystander shows a young man with an assault rifle being followed by a crowd of protesters. He falls to the ground before shooting into the crowd as protesters attempt to disarm him. Kenosha police said early Wednesday morning armed vigilantes, they called them militias, have been in the streets and they're looking for a man with a long gun. That's a white man with a long gun. Oh. No arrests have been made yet, and those killed have not been identified. The violence came on the third night of unrest in Kenosha following the police shooting on Sunday of Jacob Blake, an unarmed 29-year-old black man. An officer shot Blake 7 times in the back as he was getting into his car. No! His 3 young children witnessed the shooting. Blake was reportedly trying to break up a fight between 2 women before the shooting, but the police have not explained why they went after him at all.
All right. Wow. Let me take that in reverse order. She said, shot him in the back 7 times he was getting into his car. I mean, even the short bit of citizen shot video we have shows that that's not true. He was breaking away from the cops who had him undershot, guns drawn, say, stop, stop, stop. He walks around his car, stop. They try to hold him, whatever car it was. And now, the excessiveness of 7 shots, I can't talk about that. I mean, all I know is you go to the range, you shoot, boom, 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 before you know it, you shot off 3 or 5. And, so that's definitely not very controlled. But we don't know enough about that. And then Crump shows up, and now he's being martyred. No one should die. And we got a note from where is it here? Someone at the in law enforcement there. Hold on, I have it. Here, Wisconsin Police Internal Memo. This is Adam and John. I work for the state of Wisconsin. The boss of our department released this wonderful message. I'm not going to mention who. Last night, this is actually from, I'm sorry. This is the boss of her department. Last night, Governor Evers released a statement on the shooting of Jacob Blake, and I join with the governor in hoping fervently that he survives and heals. I also know hope is not enough. Today, he and the lieutenant governor announced a special session on policing accountability and transparency convening at noon. Next paragraph. There's a long history of systemic racism in law enforcement and other government systems, and I include health systems in that list. And yet, to use the word history to describe this ignores the current reality that Black, Indigenous, and people of color live on a daily basis in our state. It is not enough to hope for change. It's not enough to reflect and listen. As I wrote after George Floyd's murder, it's not enough even for us at DHS, there we go, to acknowledge our own complicity. These actions can be a part of our journey, but are too passive to be enough for this moment. And it goes on. I mean, this is not settled yet, what happened here. It's too soon, and it's too raw, and it's fucking political. That's the stuff that makes me mad. That makes me mad. And then working back, we all saw the videos of what happened. Almost everyone had a gun, bunch of white guys. One guy's chasing the guy with the long rifle, the long gun, throwing stuff at his head. He turns around, I'm going to shoot you. Some words are exchanged. He goes towards the guy with the gun. He shoots him in the head. Okay. Then someone else comes along. He trips. He falls to the ground. The guy comes up in front of him. The shooter's on the ground. He's not shooting. He's pointing his gun at him. Then the guy lunges. He twists and gets shot. I'm sure this is not Call of Duty. This is not a video game. It's real. But to say that protesters were murdered in cold blood, no. And we can see it. We have the actual video. But it's the Civil War. Civil War amongst white dudes.
Well, dumb white dudes.
Well, maybe, but people need to protect their property because stuff is getting broken and ruined. And now, of course, this guy, he wanted to be a police officer. He was 17. What do kids know when they're 17? It's open carry state. Yeah, I'm going to go. Of course, he's like, I got to protect stuff. Even though it's not my town, I got to go protect stuff. And then people who are not from his town, and they're all fighting, and everyone's got criminal records, and they've been in jail for. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Well, I'm not saying it's not a mess.
No, I know you're not. But that report, the reporting on it is shameful.
The
just
reporting
shameful.
is a mess. The mainstream media is a mess. There's your mess.
Yeah. I wanted to bring one other topic up. We talked about banning.
Well, before you do that, I do have 2 ISOs I want to run by you.
Oh, please, yes. What do we have on the ISO front?
Well, I got 2. I got morgue.
Wait.
A morgue.
Where's that from? Kind of like it.
You heard it earlier. That's
is that where it's
clip of the day for?
Do it from a morgue? Okay, got it.
Now, the other one is related to just as a side, I do have the Kellyanne Conway story, which has the second ISO in it.
Well, I'll play the ISO first. How about I play the ISO?
Play the ISO first, less drama.
Less drama, more mama.
Right. I like that.
Do you have better ISOs than that?
No, I have 0 ISOs. I like this one. I like the Kellyanne Conway. Less drama, more mama.
Okay.
Because that'll be it for her for a while. We won't be hearing from her. She's out. She's out. No, I wanted to.
She's done. She's cooked.
And this has to do with our show in general and what we do. I made a stink about the indictment, the Bannon indictment about the charity, and how they had clearly said, this guy will never not get a dime. 100% goes to the cause of We Build the Wall. You remember the story?
I do.
Yeah. So it was 8-page indictment, and I'd read it all, and I excoriated Bannon for what he did because this is exactly the stuff that Black Lives Matter does with all these little subgroups, and we're fundraising on behalf of them, and so it's very sketchy, and I was very specific to say that I feel that Bannon gets no preference over any of these nonprofits. I've been reading Form 990 since almost the beginning of the show, and I am so disgusted by the protections and the financial tax advantages and the marketing ability of a nonprofit piece of shit, because that's what most of them are. I'm sorry, I'm cursing today, but I'm very mad, and I was very clear about that. Well, pushback came. You just hate Bannon. You're part of the attack on Breitbart. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Breitbart.
And even Sir Brian of London, so there's this guy, Barnes Law, whatever the guy's name is, and there's this piece of video, and he's saying the other side of the Bannon story. And so I watch it, and I'm like, clearly they don't understand that I am not here as some partisan hack against anybody. I called it exactly the way you'll hear in this clip, only for some reason, it's like a Rorschach test.
It appears we have another victimless crime, just like the NRA case. The Southern District of New York, I guarantee you, if they had somebody, even one person, anywhere in the country, who said they only gave the money because they thought not a penny would go to anything other than physical wall construction, they would have put him in the indictment. I've done plenty of these fraud cases. I've watched and studied many more. They always include 4 or 5 most sympathetic victims right up front in the indictment. Sometimes they keep them Jane Doe and John Doe, but often not, because they're usually going to be witnesses at trial. So you want that maximum level of empathy, maximum level of sympathy, completely missing from the indictment. So that's a backstory of what was going on with Build the Wall. The second part is background of fundraising campaigns. If this indictment is held up, you could indict 90% of charities in America. You could indict every single political campaign in America. You could indict the Trump campaign and everybody part of it.
Thank you for making my point. That's the point. It's not always about right, left, this guy, that guy. It's about the principle of nonprofits, and it's a joke. It's a joke, and we've got people who are just contractors. Oh, I've got a nonprofit, and then they can take a nonprofit gig from the Dell Foundation, and then their nonprofit gets the money, and then they do a 1099 to themselves. We chose not for that model for a whole bunch of reasons, and it's just a scam now. I mean, there's legit nonprofits, but this, stop. We do Form 990 easy. it's just a scam.
When you say that 990 easy, that means it's encouraged.
Yes, it is.
So all this is encouraged, and so then I think the people that would bitch about your commentary about Bannon, would be Banyan, would be. I think they have a gripe.
Yeah,
you seem to single him out.
Yeah, where I do the same for all nonprofits, for all of them.
Yeah, you think they're all well, but then again, the government seems to be encouraging this.
Yeah, well,
now why?
Yeah.
Because in the end, and I'm going to say these words on purpose, at the end of the day, it gets funneled to the politicians.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or the media.
Both
who's not going to, or aren't going to say anything about anything, because the media is actually at the double end of the day, the big butted end of the day.
Yes.
You have the real beneficiaries of all this, and you never hear them complaining unless they're doing it for political reasons, and Bannon is a target, as is Breitbart. It goes to the media so they can print newspapers with big ads saying to do this or to do that, and the media makes the money. I mean, they make the money from the big pharma, so they don't say anything about big pharma. They make the money from the politicians. They don't say anything about them.
Exactly.
It's the media that's bad. We, on the other hand,
We
do not take any of this money in any way, shape, or form. So that's why we don't make as much as we could.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But also, we're just kind of uninterrupted, which is nice. I just want people.
That's the best part.
I'd like people to pay attention for the Trump troll of the week, so you can get prepared for it. He's already launched it, and of course, we know what he's trying to do. But here's the troll. I want Joe Biden and myself, he says, to be drug tested before the debate. He feels that he says Joe Biden. He saw the debates in the primaries, and he says, I think Joe was jacked. They gave him some drugs. All of a sudden, he had all this energy. That's not him. I want to make sure it's a fair playing field. I want us both drug tested for performance-enhancing drugs. That's a fantastic troll.
And I believe it's necessary. He needs to be tested for performance because he's jacked up.
It doesn't even matter. The point is
a couple of things that.
Go ahead.
No, it doesn't matter. But I think, by the way, you and I have talked about this long ago.
Oh, yeah.
During the debates. So it's not as though it's a new idea. But let's discuss something else. Biden has refused to get tested for COVID. Trump says he gets tested all the time. I think Trump, and it's just a theory, I just thought about this. I think Trump has had COVID.
He's so confident. Yeah, you may be right. Yeah.
And that's why he took the hydroxychloroquine.
But why wouldn't he say that I had it and I'm okay? Why wouldn't he do that? Is he's waiting for the?
There's other people.
It's the
in
October
fact, you
surprise.
know a couple of people. You know a couple of people personally.
Of course I do.
That have had COVID and they won't admit it to anybody.
My nephew just got it. Julius. You met Julius, Tiffany's son.
Yeah.
He got the biggest hassle. He felt fluey for a day. The biggest hassle now is mom has to get a test and wait, and then she might have to quarantine.
Yeah.
It's
a problem. But when Trump took the hydroxychloroquine out of the blue, you don't just take it for no good reason. Why would you do that? It makes no sense. He took it because it was part of the regimen, because he caught COVID. He's being tested all the time. Oh, it looks like he got it. Boom. Immediately took the hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and the other thing. And he mentioned that he did, and everyone was, he's going to kill himself. He's self-medicating. He's going to kill himself. He got over it. If he went for the antibody test, you'd probably find he had antibodies. And now he walks around because he knows he's had it already and it's been cured. He's a patient that, he doesn't need to worry about it. He really looks unconcerned when he's roaming around.
I like it. I think that's a great theory. I'll take that.
And that's why he looks so... I can walk around and everybody. I don't care if anybody in this audience has got COVID. I've already had it. I've been cured. I'm good to go.
Yeah, that was the number one comment on MSNBC and CNN coming out of Pence's... which nice, by the way, have the national anthem at the end. Nice touch. Another brilliant television production move. Very, very smart. It would have...
Control. That guy's so good.
Yeah, I mean,
I do want to play the Kellyanne Conway fiasco story.
Okay,
get that out of the way. Let's
do Kellyanne.
This comes as longtime White House advisor Kellyanne Conway said she plans to leave her job at the end of this month, citing her family. And her husband, George Conway, who co-founded the Lincoln Project, is also leaving the Lincoln Project. The couple's 15-year-old daughter, Claudia Conway, had said she's seeking emancipation from her parents and tweeted she's devastated her mother is speaking at the Republican National Convention. Conway replied, talking about stepping back from her job as a top senior advisor and counsel to the president. From now on, less drama, more mama.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Amy couldn't even deliver the line right.
No. And I guess they're going to try and save the family. The kid's all pissed off, wants to be emancipated. And
it's a humiliation to the two parents.
Yes.
That they're, both of them, I would say both parents were lousy parents. How do you get a kid this completely out of control and so brainwashed by her peers or the school? I don't know why, but she hates both parents because they're Republicans. How does that happen to a 15-year-old?
Do you think she hates them because they're Republicans, or she just...
Yes. I've listened to all their stuff. I've read all her tweets.
Wow.
She hates them. She hates her parents because they're Republicans. She hates Trump to an extreme. She hates her mother because she works for Trump.
Yeah.
She hates her mother because she wants to give a speech at the RNC, which she did.
Mm-hmm.
And she hates her dad because he's a Republican, even though he hates Trump too.
Still not good enough.
Yeah. So how do you get a 15-year-old in any family? I don't care what family it is. If you're raising your kids, usually if you're two Democrats, I was raised as a Democrat. I was a happy Democrat when I was 15. I'm a Democrat. And it was no big deal. That's what you expect. Your parents beat it into you. You're going to be a Democrat, and you are. How do you become this girl?
Well, that usually happens when you don't support the No Agenda Show.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah! No Agenda in the morning.
And we do have very few people to thank for the production of No Agenda Show 1272. And starting with Sir Dodger of Panhandle, came in from Pensacola, Florida with $100. Mac Johnson in Phoenix, Arizona, another $100. Sir John Knowles, the Baron of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 8008. Followed by David Forbes at 6006 in Shakopee, Minnesota nuts. Wesley Stewart with a birthday comes in at 5757. Sir Christopher Kessler from Marshfield, Wisconsin, 5510. Double nickels on the dime. Sir J-Boy in Aldi, Virginia, 5280. David McLean in Cuba, Missouri, 50. And the rest are $50 donors. Name and location as appropriate. Chris Mulmy, no location. Todd Grubb in Capic, Michigan. Jesus Allen, your buddy in Austin, Texas. Julian Robbins in Aptos, California. Michael Kaufman in Hillsboro, Oregon. Brooke Nepper in Boise, Idaho. And Sir Richard Gardner in Chicago, Illinois. Rob Lee Hall in Hillsboro, North Carolina. And last, Sir Jeffrey Zellen in Oakland, Michigan. That's all we got. We're done. And we want to thank all these folks for supporting us in show 1272 and helping produce it and getting it out the door.
And those under the $50 level, which we do not address for brevity and anonymity, thank you all very much, especially those of you on one of our subscriptions. We'd love to have you join that part as well as your one-offs. Please check it out at
Dvorak.org/NA.
And for everybody who needs it, including Darren O's mom, who, remember, she went in for like acid reflux, turns out double bypass, went through everything cool. She's going to be fine. We're very happy about that, but jobs from some other people as well. Here it is, and well-deserved.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's a birthday on No Agenda.
Yeah, nearing the end of the month, here is our birthday list for today, the 27th of August, 2020. Dina Carroll says happy birthday to her smoking hot hubby Danny, turns 55 tomorrow. Christopher Blanco, happy birthday to his ravishing, beautiful Dame Ashley. She also will be celebrating her birthday tomorrow, as will Wesley Stewart, who turns 57. Andrew Young will be 39 tomorrow and says happy 40th birthday in advance to his buddy Chris. Sir Nathan Lee says happy birthday to Linda Lee. Her birthday's on September 28th, but he's getting it in early. And JJ Reine de Blanc, September 29th. And today I am celebrating my little baby daughter who turns 30 years old. Happy birthday, Christina Valerie Curry. Your daddy loves you very much. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. 30. That's,
and there you have it.
I'm 100.
In a nutshell.
I'm 100 now. Well, we have the one nighting, which is done by his beautiful spouse for Danny Carroll. So if you bring out your wonderful spouse, Blade.
You got it right here.
Nicely done. Danny Carroll, it's all up to you. Come on up. This is a rare sight that we only get one nighting on a show like this, but very happy to have you here. Your wife is one heck of a lady, and we look forward to receiving your official night name. But until then, I'm very proud to pronounceate you, Danny Carroll, as Sir Danny Carroll, Knight of the No Agenda Roundtable, where we bring you for the new entrants, Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay. We got Parliaments and Pale Ale, Kebab and Persian Wine, Brisket and Barrel-Aged Copper Ale, Polish Potato, Vodka and Vanilla, Geishas and Sake, Rubenesque Women and Rosé. We've got Breast Milk and Pablum, Ginger Ale and Gerbil, Sparkling Cider and Escorts, Bong Hits and Bourbon, and the table favorite, our house mutton and our house mead. And once you have your name and your ring size, head over to noagendanation.com/rings. Actually, I think that's where Eric helps you determine what your ring size is. And we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. And thank you very much for...
Can't go to a jeweler anymore.
your support of the No Agenda show. Then Eric the Shill is taking off. He's going on a trip with his family. And now many people know the Shill. Certainly our knights and dames interact with him. He's going on a No Agenda listening tour. And he wrote a little bit here. This is part of a 6-state back office listening tour for the No Agenda Show. Eric Schill and the family will be on the road traveling through our western states, hosting meetups in cool states and legally permitted protests in the shitty states. With some luck, John or Adam will make it to a meetup or two as well. All right. We could use some help from local producers to find a great location for a meetup. Restaurants with outdoor spaces would be a fine place to have a, quote, protest, a peaceful protest, but casual beers at a park work too. We'll be posting specific dates and locations a week or two in advance of each meetup as we wander the western states. So he's looking at the Tri-Cities of Washington, Missoula, Montana, Fort Collins, Colorado, Provo, Utah, Vegas, Nevada, Lake Tahoe, California, Nevada, and that'll be on noagendameetups.com. So that should be fun. Meet the Schill and his family. They are a very beautiful and fun family.
I would, a couple of things.
Yes.
I would write him, Schill at noagendanation.com.
Mm-hmm.
And to get some, and one of the things I think you should always inform him when you're suggesting places, he's got these kids, he's got 3 kids. Does your state allow kids in certain bars? Do you have to serve food? It's very more complicated than you think.
That's true.
And so he needs to be notified of this because he doesn't know the laws in Montana, for example, regarding children in bars. In California, it's open game. You can, pretty much bring kids anywhere.
Oh, really?
Well, generally, if it's a pure bar that nobody under 21 can go into, a pure bar,
okay,
you can't let kids in.
Got it.
But in Canada, for example, I believe you can, or at least in BC, I don't think you can even let kids in a place where they serve alcohol. I mean, almost. I don't know. Anyway, the rules are different from place to place, and he needs to be informed of this.
All right. That's Schill at noagendanation.com. Oops. Here we go.
No Agenda Meetups.
Yo, it is indeed like a party. We got a couple of them coming up this Saturday. West New York local Boop 8008 meet in the park. Also on Saturday, Midland, Texas is 2 o'clock. Chili's in Midland. On Saturday, South Florida, Palm Beach at 5 o'clock. The Reiki Princess is organizing that. Check noagendameetups.com for details on it. In Northeastern Ohio, 6 o'clock at Hooley House, Copley, Ohio. Then Sunday, the 30th, Anaheim Hills, 1 p.m. out of the Park Plaza. Also on Sunday, the West Seattle Burien School from Home Redux at 4 o'clock. And coming up in September, my birthday, September 3rd, the Londoners Unite on the 4th, Salt Lake City. The 5th, the Low Country Tubing on the Edisto River in South Carolina. Wow. Midland, Texas on 5th of September, Oklahoma City. We got the 6th, South Jersey Pig Roast. September 9th, Eindhoven in the Netherlands. Cocoa, Florida on the 11th, Niagara Falls on the 12th, Agora Hills, California, Susan City, California on the 12th, Columbus, Grove City, Ohio, then Amsterdam on the 18th, Monroe, Washington on the 26th, and the 26th, Long Beach, California. We have some meetup reports. Here is the local Philly 76 meetup report.
Hey, Adam and John. It is Sir Scatman of Norristown. We are at Fado Irish Pub. This is Philly Local 76, where we are getting it aroused.
This is Lady Wind of the Lakes. 在上午
Supertizer in the morning and, right now in the evening.
In the morning, this is Jay.
In the morning, this is Cheryl with Mike. Thank you for your courage.
In the morning, this is William Alston again from good old Baltimore.
All right. Thanks again, guys, for a great podcast.
No, thank you. Wonderful to hear these reports. I'm glad everyone's having a good time. Going out, chilling, be clumsy, don't get triggered. And the NA Local 1 sent us their, I guess this was from their meat shoot, and they sent us the No Agenda 33 salutes.
Michigan Local 1, present arms in the morning.
Yeah, there's nothing weird about those No Agenda people. I love that. I love that.
2 ducks came falling
Or like
down.
15 different calibers going off there. Thank you very much, everybody.
Not even simultaneously.
So if you want to be a part of this crazy bunch, you're welcome. No matter where you are coming from, who you are, what you believe in, just come out and be honest. Everyone's cool. It's no triggering. We don't get mad. We talk. We chill. We have a good time. NoAgendaMeetups.com. We chill, baby. NoAgendaMeetups.com. If there isn't one there near you, all you have to do is go ahead and start one. It's that simple. NoAgendaMeetups.com. It's like a party.
Sometimes you wanna go hang out with all the nights and days. You wanna be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You wanna be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party. John C. Dvorak, Baker, Light Pride, today's Teddy K, he's an OTG kind of guy.
Yeah, we haven't done an OTG segment in quite a while. I just wanted to fit one in real quick. Since it keeps getting pushed back, there are some important things to talk about. Number one is Apple coming up with a big change in iOS 14, which will effectively no longer allow apps to track you with the Apple identification number. I think it's an advertising ID number. Facebook is saying that this could have their audience network revenue, i.e. selling your information to others, by 50%. And I think it's very interesting. Apple is saying, well, we'll probably have an opt-in. And I think they should do it for all tracking, anything, even for, just the whole kit and caboodle. It's like, oh, you can have this app. Do you want it to track you? Because what Facebook will say is, well, you can use our app without opting into the tracking, but then you can't post or whatever.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's like the EULA.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't say you don't agree to it, you can't use the program.
Yeah. So but it's a standoff.
It's extortion.
It's a standoff between Apple and developers. I'm all for it.
Well, you know me. I don't really care.
Yeah, I know. Well, I did have one of our producers, in light of the potential ambassadorship for the flip phone, which, by the way, I did get a note back from the guy, and long list of ideas, very light on money I will get paid. I didn't see a lot of mention of that. Long list of cool...
Yeah, that's kind of I would say that that should be flipped.
Yeah, well, and it starts off with, well, of course we could always, have you make money on every phone you sell through it's like, okay. So I haven't answered the guy yet, but I'm skeptical this is going to be anything good. But I was thinking that when it comes to all this hygiene and people worried in masks, do we need to remind people that smartphones actually are a great way to spread coronavirus?
And everything else is the grimiest thing you carry.
Yeah.
It's worse than money.
This would be my pitch. You need a flip phone, man. You don't want that big screen is just catching all that Rona. What, do you think the drops they fall on your screen? You put it up to your face. You touch it with your hands. Another thing no one's ever talking about. And
seriously, now that you mention it.
Yeah. And then we have the information that police requests to access recordings from your smart speaker are up 72%. Now you know why I got rid of it.
You know why I never got one.
And it's too bad because I love the technology. The business model is a non-starter for me. And I have a fun clip to play us out with. I don't know.
Well, I got 3 clips that need to be played.
All right. We need to do those post haste.
First of all, one's long and 2 are very short. So I'm going to start with the long one because I've decided that I'm now going to do this once in a while. Not a lot, but this is a QAnon report.
Uh-oh. Do I need to put the glasses on?
No.
Okay.
Whatever you do, don't put the glasses on. I want you to hear this without the glasses.
Okay.
And this is from a podcast with Neon Revolt himself, the author of one of the QAnon books and one of the top guys who pushes the QAnon agenda.
Oh, okay.
So Neon Revolt is going to tell us what's going to happen with the election, according to what he's been hearing, although they do a thing at the end, which I didn't put into the clip, which is saying, well, it could be just disinformation for a purpose. But let's listen. This is what's going to happen. Joe Biden, by the way, is not going to be the guy on the ticket.
Oh, woo!
I've been trying to understand, this comes from a more recent Q drop, is that Q basically said that Biden and whoever his running mate would be, now we know it's Kamala Harris, aren't the real ticket. Right. And that at a certain point, it's going to switch over to, this is my reading of it, I could be wrong, a Hillary and Obama ticket.
Like Michelle or Barack?
I'm thinking Barack.
Really?
Because he could. The argument can be made that he can legally run for VP.
Right.
And if you think about what they're doing with selecting Biden and how much of a stud, like, come on, how often have you known the Democrats to choose a candidate that is like physically, yeah. It's like optics are everything with them. There's a reason that Biden is having, all this mental fog and,
right.
It looks like he's a dementia patient up on stage. It's because the intention is to replace him.
Isn't it too late at this point? Like, because how would they get Hillary and Obama on the ticket across all 50 states?
What could happen, and this is what I theorized, is that because all this dementia stuff, it could be the pretense for a medical issue.
Right.
With Biden. So if Biden has a stroke and suddenly can't physically run, the Democratic Party can then vote on a new candidate.
Right.
And just totally, we've
Would
been
they
through
wait the election. Because I mean, like, is there enough time at this point to make that that's a big change,
Yep, there actually is. This can be done. There was an article about it in The Hill not too long ago. I can post that in the comments too, but this can theoretically be done. And I think this is actually what they're going to do. So, and again, it's amazing. Before Biden actually became the candidate, what was the talk of the town? The talk of the town was Burisma and Ukraine, and now that kind of had to go away, because if they talk about it, now you're attacking a political.
There's nothing like a good swoop theory to come back just when we need it. I'm kind of digging that.
I didn't know the term Q drop.
Oh yeah. There she is, swooping over.
Oh, and here she is too. This is the second clip. This is Hillary on not conceding.
Oh, yes, I have seen. Hold on a second. Oh, Hillary on not conceding. Yes, here we go.
Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances, because I think this is going to drag out, and eventually I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch and if we are as focused and relentless as the other side is.
In relation to the Q drop, this is a short clip from Colorado local news. Started about the post office, but then quickly went sour.
Link to check out any and all claims about funky business with the Postal Service in Colorado. But we do ask you not to share wild claims that are not backed up by any evidence. Hey, speaking of those, Colorado congressional candidate Lauren Boebert is one of two QAnon supporters, candidates for Congress, invited to the White House for President Trump's big speech this week. QAnon, you'll recall, is the conspiracy theory that President Trump will soon round up and execute his political opponents who are satanic cannibals that drink baby blood.
It just keeps getting better. First, it was rounding up the elites who drink baby blood. Now he's going to
drink baby blood.
He's going to execute them.
Yeah, execute them. Well, wait till Yamish gets a hold of this.
Well, wait. Do you have another clip? Because I have one more. I have one more.
You can have one more clip. I do have my last clip, which you can play at the end, or you can play now. You can play whenever you want. This is the lost Biden gaffe you were talking about on the last show that we didn't isolate, but I do have it isolated. It's very short, and this is the funniest thing when he gave his acceptance speech.
What's it called?
It's called recent lost Biden gaffe.
Ah, okay. Here we go.
And there's never been anything we've been able to accomplish when we've done it together.
I know. A lot of people caught this. There's nothing we've been able to accomplish. We can't accomplish anything when we do it together. Yes, that is exactly like your steering committee. No, instead...
there you go.
I have a final clip from Sandy Ocasio-Cortez. This was... she's going to tell you something here that was... foretold on the No Agenda show, just by our own journalistic integrity and boots on the ground. You will remember this great way that you, children, can help out.
Hello, everyone. I have been thinking about ways to help you help the post office, and I think I've got an idea, and I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. So one of the best ways to support the post office is to buy stamps. What do you all think? Would you guys-
Come on, man. I had that a week ago.
Yeah.
Buy stamps.
Buy stamps. There you go.
That is it is so sad. I tell you. Well, everybody, let me see what we have coming up next. Nick the Rat with some tree talk on noagendastream.com. You can enjoy that. We have end of show mixes from OVDB and Jesse Coy Nelson. And, I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of rabbits get pulled out of the hat tonight. Of course, we'll be reporting that on Sunday's show. And coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the capital of the Drone Star State, Austin, Texas. FEMA region number 6 on the governmental maps if you're looking for me. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it smells like smoke, but doesn't smell as bad as it did a couple of days ago. I'm John C. Dvorak.
And it doesn't smell like those tote bags we once had. Remember to support us by going to Dvorak.org/NA. We can use all we can get. And until Sunday, adios, mofos! And such.
The pandemic has cancelled the future. We should, as we're thinking about recovery from the pandemic, resist the calls to return to normal. Normal was an ecocidal economic system.
The New World Order is here, and they're in our face, and no one gives a crap. No one's paying attention.
Gee, that's weird.
Yeah.
Build back better.
Economic system.
Build back better.
Industrial.
Build back better. United States. Build back bolder. Reality.
My Build Back Better plan.
Revolution.
Building back better.
Green New Deal.
Build back better. Equitable. Inclusive.
Build back better.
You can
make a joke about the fact that people have mispronounced Kamala as Kamala.
Kamala, the Ugandan headhunter, brought to you by the Wizards.
What makes Kamala Harris African American?
Nothing at all.
Her name is pronounced Kama, like the punctuation mark luck. Kamala.
Okay, so what?
That's how it is, Kamala. Not think her name right is actually not. It was kind of a.
So I'm disrespecting her, Kamala Harris.
So is she African American?
No.
So she is black.
She's black.
Okay, there we go. Kamala Harris is black, not African American.
Former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown addressed his past extramarital relationship with U.S. Senator Kamala Harris.
So we now know the two matchups going into the November election: Mike Pence and, of course, President Trump, and Kamala Harris and former Vice President Joe Biden. What is your take on Kamala Harris being added to the ticket?
Kamala's instructions! So dismember him! Joint by joint!
Kamala Harris, also known as the Ugandan giant, has died after a brief battle with COVID-19.
She clearly can't do any kind of stand-up, which you shouldn't do without an audience.
Vice President Pence.
Jellystone National Park?
No, the other one, Yosemite.
When they gaze upon Yosemites, towering sequoias.
Kamala Harris, that's the politician, right? That's the lady running for vice president. What makes her African American? I don't know. She don't act like it.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Less drama, more mama.